I'll crack on. So, hello and welcome back to the fourth and final race here at the Shanghai International Circuit in SLR. We've had divisions 1, 2 and 3 already having their races run here, and now it's time for the Elite Division. You join us, the commentators, myself, Riggs, once again, and I'm being joined in the commentary booth by SLR. Owen, how are you feeling, and what do you think of China as a circuit?
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. Well, hello everyone. I should say I'm very excited for today. Should be a good night out today, hopefully. Expecting some good racing. These guys never fail to entertain, so we should be in for a good one. Not a big fan of China overall, though. So, I mean, my race wasn't all that great, but we don't talk about our own races. This is where it all kicks off. This is the big one.
See, like, I mean, China's like one of the. I mean, I said the same question to Merckx, and we were kind of generally like quite favouring of the circuit. Like, we quite like it. It's one of your kind of favoured circuits in comparison to others. But you saying it's not really one of yours is a bit of a surprise to me, but because I've never really heard anybody saying that China doesn't really rock their boat, if you can what I mean. But um, the skies anyway look quite clear for qualifying. We don't have any information on the weather, so we'll hopefully get some of that soon.
Yeah, I'll just double check on now. All good. We're all dry all the way, so no weather problems to worry about. It's actually a surprise, actually, because if I'm not mistaken, yesterday there was quite a few dark clouds, a few spots of rain here and there.
Definitely, in the Division 3 race last night that myself and Merckx covered, we did start off dry. Like, there was a dry race. Like, just give me 2 seconds. Like, can you hear the audio for the engines on the stream?
I can't actually.
I was going to say the same thing because I can't hear the cars. So let me just quickly fix that. Because I'm sitting, like, I mean, we're just sitting here quite hanging. I'm just kind of like, I can't hear the engines gone. So let me just get that sorted right now.
Yeah, that's the same for me actually. That's a bit weird.
Right, I didn't go to the Twitch page. I just went to the pause menu and just.
Oh yeah.
68, and I've got it back now. So I do apologise for that technical issue there, but we've got some engine sound. You've got the commentators' voices in the background as well, and that is the perfect balance that we aim to achieve and aim to strike with. But sorry, just to go back to yourself, Owen, you were saying it was a bit of a surprise with the wet race. Like, we just seen some wet racing. There was some wet racing in Division 3. We started off in the dry, and it was originally we were going to be 20 minutes into the race, roughly around about the medium to hard pit window, so about lap 13, 15, that kind of region, and that's when the rain was going to hit. We had to restart the lobby, and then we'd be back into the start of the actual race, and before we knew it, the rain had already started on lap 3, and we just escalated from the nice dry sunny skies that we had in lap 1 to monsoon weather about lap 14, 15. It was just monsoon all the way from there. But having a dry is definitely going to suit the drivers as well, because they'll probably aim to put a lower aerodynamic setup on to try and achieve some top end speed on the big kilometre straight into the hairpin of 13, as well as the run into turn 1 near the main 2 overtaking opportunities on the circuit. So we'll definitely hope to see some action in there. So that's probably our main points of wheel-to-wheel combat for the drivers. I feel that's where we're going to really see most of the overtaking. You might see a move into turn 5 just in the second sector, so I feel like that's always a kind of underappreciated overtaking zone. You see a good few amount of moves in there throughout the race. Just looking at the chat, we're getting a couple of hellos from yourself. You were the first to actually message in the chat. We've got Sprightly saying, "Hey, hi Sprightly, it's happening, right?" Same with Jamham, it's happening. And he says, Sprightly says it's good, going to see some great SLR racing. Good luck, everybody, especially my Alpha Tauri boys. Come on. Sprightly didn't have the best races, but he's definitely putting all his support in behind the Alpha Tauri boys in the form of Crispy and Ryan Jones. Definitely 2 drivers to be watching for in this race. Do you have any strong feelings or opinions for any drivers that you feel might stand out here in China?
Well, I know some guys are especially strong in qualifying, but so I know we'll expect something, especially early on, from the likes of Freeman, Midzi, even SLR Smokies. It's sat in P5 now at the minute, but I did actually ride board with him just as he crossed the line, and he had a bit of a trip through the gravel on the exit of turn 16. So yeah, he had a bit of a wobble, and I reckon that probably lost him all the time that he could have taken from Ghost Colt, who's in first at the minute. So he looks like he could definitely be and have some good pace, I should say, coming into today.
Definitely ones to watch. I mean, if I'm going to try and keep my biasness out, but because I'm a McLaren driver, like you said, we don't really talk about our experiences, but I feel like my support will kind of be leaning towards them. I know, obviously, like you've got like the reigning champion Jam Ham, you've got the series MVP and his brother Ham Jam Midzi. They're probably drivers to be watching as well. And Merckx was kind of talking about his opportunities and his chances in today's race quite highly as well, so he'll probably be something to watch as well. Ghost Colt is currently sitting top of the timing charts with 130.0, so he's already setting the pace early on, and he's been a bit of a dark horse for the season as well. He's got a couple of strong results along the way, and I think he's actually in some good stead in terms of the championship standings, but only in the fourth race. But I mean, it's always good to get a great start and just continue to build enough momentum. Yeah, his teammate just displaces him at the top of the timing charts there. We are 130.051, just 22 seconds per second faster.
Lovely job there from the Ferrari boys, it must be said, so far. Good, yeah, it's always nice to see a little bit of a 1-2. I'm sure the likes of Scott, if he's in the chat, he'll be loving that. Same with McEwen, they're normally here and around watching the streams. So, good luck to the Ferrari boys. I mean, I'm personally not a Ferrari driver. I was last season, not anymore. But yeah, and just a little bit more information on Ghost Colt. He's as you say, he's definitely going to be one of the contenders. He was he was signed by Harry Ranganap, as he's currently called. He was signed probably, but I think it's Brazil. He made his debut last season, and he had a really strong result on his debut, and everyone was quite looking forward to see how he does this season 5, in this brand new division. So yeah, it'll be all good to see. He's currently sat in P7 in the championship, and he's already 30 points down on Jam, who's currently leading the way. But we kind of expect that. And if I remember rightly, he crashed out last time out. He had a quite unfortunate accident in turn 1. Not turn 1, but lap 1, if I remember rightly. I wasn't there watching it, but yeah, I do believe that is the case.
And he'll definitely be trying to look for a bit of redemption for that as well, and try and improve himself. Just a quick question again, Owen. I've got a message from Ranga saying that I'm a bit quiet. Am I quite quiet to you? Is my mic being a bit faulty, or do I need to change anything?
You seem fine to me. At least I can hear you quite clearly. I guess maybe I'll quiet down a little bit or something. Maybe try and balance it out a little bit.
I mean, the mic normally is in itself, it does take like a wee while to heat up. It's a bit strange, and that terminology particularly, like it seems to be a bit of a slow burn on actually getting up to speed. But I'm gonna just try and maybe speak a bit louder, just for people that are having a bit of difficulty. Please keep letting me know in the chat. It seems okay now, right? No worries. I'll try and keep on top of that. Just keep letting myself and Owen know if there's any technical issues or difficulties on our side, and we'll try and fix it. We've got Seb Dove, which is DNK Randall from Division 3. He says, hey, up the Merckx. So, putting his weight behind Mercedes. Dingle Dolphin, good luck, guys. Going for SLR. Darnell was a race for Racing Point this weekend. Definitely. Darnell is another driver as well that's kind of really been showing some good pace. Definitely kind of keep himself in good stead as well. So he'll probably want to watch. He is currently 7th on the timing sheet at the moment. I'm going to wait until we get at least all the times on the board, at least a banker lap, so we can try and gauge a kind of cut-off point, as we see Midzi going fastest there with 29.6. Just a 4,000th of a second shy of Freeman, so Midzi and Freeman really kind of starting to kind of lay down the gauntlet here. Just over 8 minutes remaining. Is there anybody on a lap that you can see that's about to either start a lap or
I'll have a look at those guys about to start. Is Ryan about to start one? I think Ryan might be starting one. Yeah, it looks like he might be. Oh no, he wasn't. He's just finishing. Never mind.
And up to 8th he goes. Hamjam was just crossing the line there as well, just behind, up to 3rd. Then we've got the two Ferraris, 6th and 7th, separated by 22 thousandths of a second. And we've got Ryan Jones and Crispy, 8th and 9th, only separated by 4 thousandths of a second. So the teammates for Ferrari and AlphaTauri really on level terms here, really early on in qualifying.
Freeman's just about to start a lap.
I'll jump on board Freeman and I'll run you through the lap as I find him. As he does start his lap, he's coming into the long, swooping right-hander in turn 1, clips the apex early, and you kind of really want to let the car drift out to get a wide line and a wide entry into 2, which he does, and he kind of opts to stay in the middle, keeps the car tucked in and tight away into the inside of 3, got a bit of wheel spin on there on the exit of 4, as he comes into the first sector delta line, which is 3 thousandths a second improvement through turn 6. That's the overtaking opportunity I was discussing in the build up there for the race. You've got the long sweeping left and right. I feel like the car likes to kind of step out if you kind of carry a wee bit too much speed in here, or you kind of bottom out the car a bit too aggressively. But you've got the double left handles here of 9 and 10. It's very tight, completely kills the momentum and slows the car down. Before setting up for the 3rd and final sector here, you've got turn 11, hard braking zone again, down into 3rd, and it's a quick uphill incline to turn 12, and then it's a long sweeping right-hander at 13, and Freeman's getting the back end a bit out of shape there. He's getting too keen on the throttle there once again, and it's so easy to lose it there on 12. I will not be too surprised if I see a couple of drivers maybe making that mistake and even gone as far as going on the grass. We've seen it a few times in Division 3 last night. But a hard braking zone into the hairpin, clipping the curb perfectly on the apex there. Nice exit, very smooth, a wee bit of correction there on the steering, but only got one more turn left, clips the apex once again, takes a good bit of the curb, gets away with an invalidation up to the line. It's a 1:29.5 and it's going to put him fastest at the moment. Another quick clean lap there for Freeman. It was just shy of a 10th of an improvement, but the improvement takes him to the top of the timing chart, so definitely going to be in a comfortable place there for him and for Haas as well, because you've got Zydrad in 4th. His teammate is just going to be they're just behind 3:10 shy. Mid-seat time for the session, so he thinks he's comfortable with a 29.6. So looking at the times, I would say a cut-off is probably the 1:30 mark, like right on the 1:30.
Yeah, it could be. Let's see how some of the guys there. There's quite a big cut-off at the minute, actually. Looking just through these times, a big cut-off as we actually go, funny enough, into the bottom 5, because we've got the likes of B-Dunk still yet to set a lap. But as you can see, there's almost a half a second gap between Snipes and Motion Hazard. The McLaren and the Mercedes guys. I don't know if that's a glitch or something, but I've just rode on board with Snipes, and he's just gone straight through the pit lane. I don't know what that's all about, but oh well. It was a bit strange, but it's almost like he's just taken a drive through at full speed. I don't quite know what's happened there, but that was very strange to watch. But nonetheless, have we got anybody on a lap? I think some of the guys are just coming through on our outlaps at the minute. As you were saying, just kind of on the exit of turn 13, I've seen a lot of people getting a bit loose. And I know in starting the qualifying laps on Friday night, so I was one of the very first people to find myself losing the back end a little bit coming out there, and I almost had symmetrical crashes with Dark Xenon, which was quite an entertaining little I didn't hear about it because of course I was the first one to do so, and I was already out of the session, so I didn't have a great showing on Friday night, but that's fine. I'm riding board with Paraquix now. He's definitely just started his lap. Will be his fastest lap, or his last lap, I'd assume. Maybe he might actually be able to get a second lap out of it. Never mind.
Definitely, it looks like he's going to go for it again. I mean, he's not going to have too much time to come into the pits and get a fresh set of boots on that Alpha. So I think it's going to really be either now or never on this lap, or he's going to he looks to have just completely backed off there. So I think he is just going to set himself up.
Yeah, he seems to have struggled through the first wide. 3 turns.
Runs a bit wide there as well, so Paraquix kind of finding himself in a spot of bother on 19th. Motion Hazard, 2 Mercedes, Motion Hazard, GSRX, the Renault SLR Dylan, Paraquix, who we're just discussing just briefly there, and B-Dunk, who's actually yet to set a time, all in the drop zone, as we're starting to see a couple of more retirements up the front. We've seen 2 Haas.
Dylan's over 3/10 up on this time, so he should be looking. He's actually just set a purple middle sector as well as he's done that. So as he comes through the, so just starting the massive back straight, the massively long straight, just before the last few turns, and then we'll see how he does.
Well, sit on board. I've just jumped on board with him there. He hard brakes into the hairpin there, down to first. So I've seen a couple of drivers doing it in second, but Dylan's opting to go for first gear through the hairpin. As we see yellow flags out to turn 6, we'll jump on that in a few moments' time. But we'll just sit on board Dylan's Renault here as it comes up to the line. Green monitor goes to yellow there to warn us of an incident, which I can't see on this particular bit of road. But Ryan Jones, I'm just looking at his name for whatever reason, but SLR Dylan only goes 16 fastest. It's not enough to get him out of the drop zone there, so he will have to save up and go again, and that's not going to really be too ideal for him, because he's not going to come in and he's not got the time. We're just hitting the final 2 minutes of the session. We're not going to have enough time for the drivers to come in, get a fresh set of boots on, go back out there and give it a full beam. But he's going to have to go again on that rubber. And China as a circuit, it's quite a high tyre wear circuit. It really does put an excessive amount of stress on the tyres, and that actually kind of leans nicely towards briefly talking about the strategy. We've seen drivers opting for the medium to hards in the race, but the delta between a 2-stop and a 1 isn't really that much. 1 stop is arguably quicker, but it's by like 6, 7, even 8 seconds. So I do feel that drivers will opt as Dylan loses it on the curb, and we were sitting talking about it briefly just a few moments ago. I wouldn't be too surprised to see somebody losing it there, and I think I might have threw the curse out there a bit early. He's still going to get enough time to go and set a lap, but he's got his fuel light on as well, so he might really be on the cuff with what he's got at his disposal on his final run, as we start to see some drivers up the top retiring. Beast Assassin goes up to 5th there, crossing the line.
Second lap for him.
I've also just looked at the chat. I seen you asking for predictions on pole position. Mr. Pornheimer says Midzer, Zydrad, and Ranger's gone for Mr. Reimer. Mr. Reimer is currently not racing, so I mean, if he's going to get pole position, I'd be quite amazed, but I'd be quite surprised with that. Dylan's just choosing to come in and retire. I don't think he had enough fuel to go for another lap there, so Dylan will be the first one eliminated for the session. Axe is coming across the line. Was 18th fastest, stays 18th fastest. Oh, he's starting a lap, right, so he's starting a lap.
He slowed down just coming into the final sector, so I did notice that he had a slight bit of trouble. So we've still got our bottom 4 still ready to go, and in fact, as I say, that B-Dunk's just crossed the line, P18, and that's not going to be enough for him.
That's not going to be the best position.
I think Hazard's about to come. Oh, Hazard's invalid. That'll be enough, but that'll be all she wrote there.
So the drivers that are in the bottom 5, aren't they really looking like they're improving too much on their times? We've seen B-Dunk only go 18th fastest. We've seen Motion has a stay 17th after an invalidated lap. I'm on board with GSR Axe as he's coming up to the second Delta line just now. He's up by 0.3 of a second. So 0.3 of a second would keep him in the drop zone. So he needs a mighty last sector here. He needs a brilliant exit on 13.
Para doesn't do enough. So Bezos will be safe now. In fact, I believe he's actually still about to cross the line. He does so, and he still goes 10th fastest, so a solid lap from him, which means Axe is the last person to cross the line, if I do believe, because I see Ryan might be on a lap as well, but that doesn't really matter because he's up in P4. Anyway, through the last turn, just through last turn 16, see how he will go. Where's he going to finish up? Goes P15, that's good enough. And that will take out Snipes out of the session. So just made it through by the skin of his teeth.
Definitely leaving it late there, but it's enough to just get him out into Q2, and it's Snipes that pays that price by being demoted into the drop zone in 16th. So it's Snipes in the McLaren 16th, Dylan will be starting 17th, Paraquicks did improve, but it wasn't enough to get through on 18th for the Alpha driver. The other Mercedes Emotion has a start on 19th, and B-Dunk starting at the back of the grid and
Massive shock
for Racing Point. That's a big shock, and we've even got it in the chat. SLR Darnelli's teammate saying B-Dunk is a shock, and we've got a couple of opinions in the chat saying DNK Rando says Freeman for pole, SLR Liam says Beast for pole, Jamham says Midzi looks quick. I know, I mean, we're racing with Midzi in the past and even currently. I know that China's one of his stomping grounds, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see him get a strong qualifying result here. We've got Game and Remy saying LOL 2020 is so bad for me right now. I mean, 2020's just really been one of the years personally. It's just been troughs and troughs. Like, you get peaks and troughs, like, you get your ups and downs, but it's just been a constant downer for just about everybody. But that's it's very unorthodox. It's a very unusual time. But I mean, can only hope that you improve in the race, because when you're at the back of the grid, the only way is up, really. Like, you might as well, if you're right at the back of the grid, if you're like Motion Hazard or B-Dunk, or even Paraquicks, if you're kind of right at the back of the grid, I think trying something a bit unconventional and it goes against the norm, I feel like you need to kind of roll the dice on that and just take that gamble, because you never know what can happen in the race. And it's what Maury Walker always says, and I've just kind of adopted this phrase of my own, but anything can happen in Formula 1, and it normally does. So
yeah, as you say, anything can happen in Formula 1. As I don't know what was quite happening, but we currently have Snipes just kind of doing laps at the minute. I'm not quite sure why. It kind of looked like, at least that last lap looked like he was controlling it. So we have seen that glitch a couple of times. I think we might have to get him to retire on track if he can already, because it says he's on an out lap. And yeah, he was on an out lap when the timer went, but I don't know if you can tell, but time remaining is stuck on 01. So we might have a bit of a situation there. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. I assume maybe something will be done about that.
I'm hoping that we can get that glitch resolved fairly quickly. I'm sitting on board with Snipes. Like, I've just jumped on board his McLaren while we're waiting, and it really does look like it's him controlling it. I've got to agree with you in a sense, because it really does look like it's him just kind of putting the hammer down, and he's really just hammering a lap. But as you're saying as well, it's an out lap. We've got a Mercedes in the way. We'll see if it's he's controlling it. He's got to be controlling it, because we've seen the AI glitch where this happened last night. Even it was.
Yeah, there we go.
Last night,
right, he's left the session.
So that might
be one on my list to add back to the session come the end of Q3.
So Snipes was deciding to put in some extra laps. He wasn't really too willing to give up his shot in qualifying after being eliminated in 16th place. SLR Dylan will be starting in Renault for NP17. Paraquicks, his Dutch compatriot there, will be in 18th. Motion Hazard in the Mercedes is 19th, and B-Dunk will be rounding it up at the back of the grid. 1.1 seconds separates the full field, and I mean that kind of does emphasise just how competitive it can be, in a sense. And it's just I feel like that gap is just going to continue dwindling down, and it's just going to get closer as drivers vie for the best qualifying position they can potentially get. So I definitely do feel like it's really up for grabs. So we'll definitely need to get Snipes in. I don't know, we got a ruling on that today, and I read it, and I'm not going to lie, it went never right over my head. So I don't really know what it was. So I think he's to get Nvidia back in at the end of Q3 or during Q3. Is that?
Yeah, I will double check with that. Of course, that's my duty, I guess, as the co-commentator to add everybody in. But that is perfectly fine. I thought it would be either the end of Q3 or maybe during it, considering that he's already out of the session. I don't think it will matter just as much when in Q3 necessarily. But we will wait and see what they say.
We can definitely. It's. I mean, we're probably going to get to this. We get to all this through years anyway. So once myself and Owen hear something once something's said, Owen's normally right on it to pick up on it and tell us like, what the story is and what the script is. So we'll get told fairly soon what that's in regards to. Well, I've got Jamham saying it's going to be super close at the minute, and it's going to be really tight as to who makes it through. So Jamham's really kind of seeing the competition is quite fierce. I can probably agree with that. SLR Elite is the cream of the cream of the creme, or how that phrase goes. It's like the top tier, and it's definitely it's one of the most competitive leagues as well. So I think anybody can really get put out in Q2 at this stage. We've seen it with B-Dunk just in the last session. He was not only put out in Q1, but he was plumb last. So that's not really the qualifying that he would have been looking for this session. But looking at the tyre strategies on, I'm looking at a couple of drivers out on the track at the minute, and they seem to be opting for the softs. We've got Ryan Jones and Zydrad pre-selecting the mediums as we actually get Snakes back in. So,
as you say, everybody that's out on track at the minute is on the softs, and a couple of guys have pre-selected to see as Smoke's going to be the first person on a lap, followed by Beast. So, it's kind of, I could expect for some of these guys, especially like Beast, for instance, he hasn't got into Q3 yet this season. So I'd expect someone like him to definitely just go all out for the softs. And not just that, but of course, it's going to be more what happens towards the end of the session, really. So, I mean, of course, some of the guys are going to be on mediums now, but if there's enough people on the soft towards the end of the session, and they're miles up the pack, then a lot of those medium guys will have to think, oh, maybe I want to start the race on the softs. Well, we're going to have to start the race on the softs if it means that I'm going to get into Q3. So it's all down to what they're feeling, really.
That's exactly it. I feel like I agree with you wholeheartedly there. So, like, and that's another thing as well. That I've been like looking at the chat there. We've sat and said it just a few moments ago as well, and Jamham mentioned it in the chat as well. Like, the league itself is extremely competitive, and I think that plays a bit of a psychological part in the process of selecting what tyre you're going to use for Q2, purely because you're like what you say, like, do you take the risk of going on the soft tyres to get to Q3? Everybody's probably sitting there thinking, everybody's quick enough to get into Q3, and that's the problem. So I think that's why we're seeing everybody on the soft tyres, is to guarantee there's at least got an opportunity. We've got Ryan Jones and Zydrad on the mediums as we see Smoke hitting them the first time, but when you see Zydrad and Ryan Jones pre-selecting the mediums, they're probably going to at least chance it. They're both on their outlaps, they're both on the mediums, they're going to just see how it feels. And if they're under threat, we're just going to see them come out in the softs. I think it's just going to be as simple as that, really. I don't think people are really willing to take such a risk. I mean, it might help the strategies. We see GSR Axe off there at the exit of turn 20.
It's like he's had a spin.
His Mercedes teammate Rando did the exact same thing in Q1 in the Division 3 race last night. So Mercedes just no getting to grips with that turn 10. Rando did say to us on the chat it was issue with his wheel, and he was just testing the settings and that on his car. So I'm assuming GSR Axe will probably say something similar along the lines. But I definitely feel like it's going to be soft tyres. I mean, even if the medium to hard strategy is the best, I think everybody's just going to jump on the soft tyre just to make sure they're going to get through to Q3, because it's just going to be extremely close. It's like what Jamham said, that cut-off point is going to be so tight, and you really want to just set yourself up for the best opportunity to get through. So I'm definitely going to see some drivers, as we see Freeman getting a bit of a twitch when I just jumped on board with him there, he was getting a bit of a twitch through turn 4. And he's on the mediums actually, so he's on the mediums, that's interesting. Let me actually change the setting. Right, see everything we just said about the soft tyres? Just kind of put that to the side now, because we've got a lot of them on the mediums because I've just changed the settings, so my apologies for that. But we've got most of them on the mediums, so they're actually, like, are we just they're getting a wee feel for the mediums, and then when it comes to the point that actually matters, they're just gonna go for it on the softs. We've got Smoke and Bezos out on the soft tyres, setting a time on the soft tyres, so if they get through, their strategy's pretty much set in stone. If they get through. Yellow flags in sector 2 going into 3.
Is that with the whole axe situation, I did note that he of course came into the pits after his lap, kind of expected. Beast did the same actually, interestingly enough. He had a bit of a wobble, I believe, coming out of turn 12, turn 11. That little kind of almost like a left-right chicane just starting off the third and final sector. Yeah, I struggled a lot there with traction getting out of turn 11, and yeah, I think he just had a bit of a wobble coming out there. I was riding on board with him just a little bit through there, and he seemed to back off through turn 12, 13. I kind of noted straight away, and then he just pulled into the pits. He's out on the mediums now, so that'll be interesting to see how he does. A lot of the guys, it seems, have come out on the medium tyres now, and Saar is left to set a lap on the softs, which is quite interesting. In fact, Saar's just come into the pits as well, funnily enough. So maybe we could contradict what I said earlier.
We're just saying one thing, and the drivers are just proving us wrong. We've gone with the opposite of what we're saying. But we've got a couple of drivers on the softs, as we were saying, and we've got most of them on the mediums. I definitely still feel like we're going to see a couple of them shifting onto the softs. Like, if you're going to see somebody that's really quick and that has done really well in the league, and they've won races, got podiums and that countless times and everything else, so people that have good records in racing, and they're going to find themselves in a position where they're going to be eliminated for Q2, I feel like they might just be like, right, let's just throw in the soft tyres, let's just see how that goes. And I think that's really just going to be it as well. We're seeing a big yellow wall of medium tyres on the left hand side, but I don't think it's going to look the exact same way when we come to the end of the session in just over 7 minutes time. We'll get I've just got Sprightly and Jam Out talking teacher on the chat there. We've got Stringy13 saying oi oi, and I'll just say a firm oi oi back. So we'll just kind of give you a warm welcome there, as to yourself and to the other 18 viewers that we've got in the chat, as Midzy goes second on the mediums, while on 30.5.
Very solid laps on that. You've got Freeman's just crossed the line, 4 tenths down from that, and Beast has just done it from the off 6 tenths down from Midsy's time. So I reckon the Ferrari boys, they're probably going to have to come out again, I'd assume. It seems Ghost Cult, just by looking at the telemetry and what we've got available to us as spectators, looks like Ghost Cult will be coming out. Oh, he's selected the softs at the minute, so we shall see what he says. Of course, he's already set his first lap on the medium tyres, so Ferrari could be looking at a little alter strategy at the minute. We'll have to wait and see.
And I mean, I definitely feel like if you've got your teammate, if you are both on such level terms in terms of general pace at a specific circuit, then I feel like the best way to no trip over each other's toes, kind of impede on the other's strategy, is to split it. You never know. You could have Ghost Colt preparing himself for a set of softs. You get UK Beast Assassin here on the mediums, sitting right on the cut-off point in 10th place. But definitely, I feel like the best way to maximise your strategies is to split it as teammates. Because it's so. I mean, unless you don't communicate with your teammate in the race, then you're gonna just trip up at some point. And I definitely feel if you don't do that, then you're just going to impede and ruin the other's race, and etc, back and forth, vice versa. But I feel like they could potentially be considering the split strategy, as we see them just dive back into the pits there. I'm looking to see who else is on a lap. I can see Saz and Axe are 14th and 15th, and they're just coming out the hairpin, so they're preparing a lap. As we just jump over with Axe, one of the few drivers on the circuit at the minute. On the medium tyres as well, so taking that chance, rolling that dice, starts the lap, and it's a run down to turn 1. You want to chuck the car in, try and clip the apex quite early and let the car roll wide, as we were saying earlier. And he kind of takes the same line as Freeman did earlier. He kind of kept it quite central, compromises your line through 2, but doesn't really do too much damage getting into 3. because that's just a really hard left. But we're coming into the end of the first sector, a 23.8 first sector, with a puff of smoke on the front right there, looking up into turn 6. Doesn't seem to do too much damage, does slow the car down a bit too much, but doesn't really compromise him anyway. And he's lost the rear end through turn 7. He's lost the rear end through turn 7, and it's just that it's I don't know really what it is, Owen. It's just as soon as the car grips at the front, the rear end just seems to lift, and there's just no grip there. There's no downforce pushing the rear wing down to keep the car planted. So I think generally, in terms of going about setting up your car for this race, you need a higher rear wing to combat spins exactly like that.
Yeah, I think maybe towards what my setup was when I was racing. Pretty sure I raced a very similar setup to what SLR Darnell's doing at the minute with his current setup to the car. But I didn't really have too many problems going through turn 7. So it's a bit strange, really, to see, at least from my perspective, seeing guys come out. So I'd be losing the traction in much different zones of the track, really, compared to some of the other guys. So it's quite interesting, really, seeing how all these guys are, where people are losing it, so to speak. As they're saying, where I lost it, well, my big lose of the car, I should say, big loss of the car was, the first time that certainly I think Freeman said that he's never seen a car lose it where he has, where I did. So, first time for everything, I guess, and clearly one to make things like that happen. But, it's quite strange to, or at least for me, because I've managed to keep it quite solid, quite planted, make sure you're on the racing line, and just chuck it in on the left. Maybe that's to do with the rear axle or something like that. Who knows?
Definitely, like coming into the races, setting up your car, you really also want to try and squeeze every bit of potential out of it, every bit of speed out of it. And it's really hard to find that compromise in China, purely because you've got the big high-speed straight. And one Bobby Hamjam, he's coming down this big kilometre-long straight into the hard braking zone, and then you've got the big straight getting into turn 1 as well. Like, that's your main points of overtaking. But do you compromise your straight-line speed in these two big parts of the circuit for a bit more grip and downforce in the second sector, where overtaking is really going to happen? We see Hamjam go 6th fastest, he does improve, but his brother, I just jumped on board with him just before I jumped on the Renault. He's right on the cut-off point, and he's not got enough time to come in for soft tyres, so he has to try and improve on a set of mediums. He is right on the cusp as well. You've got the two Ferraris deciding to switch up and go on the softs. You're starting to see Darnell's on the softs as well in 8th place. We've got Crispy and Bez's on the outlap on soft tyres there as well on the screen left hand side. So Jamham really in a spot of bother if he can't find any time in that Williams. You've got the Ferraris waiting to pounce on the softs. You've got Sass still there ready to improve as well. Ryan Jones and GSR Axel leaving their final times quite late on in the session, and Jamham's coming into the pits, so he's leaving it. He's not going to have enough time.
So that'll be,
this is the,
well, you would assume that would be him out, wouldn't you? Because we've got like the soft runners of both the Ferraris, both of them guys will, we'd assume, improve, and he's only 300ths up on Ghost Colt, so you'd expect at least one of those guys behind him will indeed improve. Of course, we've got Ryan and GSRX still yet to improve, or still yet to set a lap time, in fact. So it's very interesting. There's obviously Smoke retire from the pits as well, so he clearly thinks he's done enough. Actually, the only guy to, other than Bez, is the only guy to actually set a lap time from the first stint for the first laps on the softs.
And that's the thing there as well. And we've got Ghost Colt, he is up on his time, he's kept his lap clean so far from what I've seen. It's still valid as well, so any slight improvement can see Jamham being eliminated. He's already been eliminated by Ryan Jones, who's right on the cusp here, but is Ryan Jones going to stay there, or is Ghost Colt going to take him down? He does. Ghost Colt's up to 4th with a 130.6, and that's Ryan Jones in the drop zone as well. I'm going to try and jump on board with Beast Assassin, because again, he's just starting his lap there. As the checkered flag falls, Q2 is done. These final laps will be the final laps that the drivers can
Sard hasn't improved.
Sass stays 13th there as well, so the Williams starting 12th and 13th. It's no really where they plan to start, but I mean, they're just right outside. They've got the free choice of tyre as well. Ryan Jones is 11th fastest, so they've all got free choice of tyre, so they've definitely got a bit of leniency there. I feel like that's probably like the best place to start a race like China, but I'm on board with Beast Assassin, who's kept it clean through turn 9 and 10, up before 10th of a second as he comes through turn 11 and 12. And Rune, the sweeping right-hander at turn 13, takes a wide line, doesn't he, opt to cut close to the apex on the inside because he knows that's going to create a bit of danger for him on his lap. We've seen drivers get a wee bit too greedy on the inside there, and it's just threw them into a spin. We've got Beast Assassin coming down the big straight here. We've got the hard braking zone of the hairpin, turn 13, just on the 100 metre board there. You're going to see him brake in into first for the turn in there. We'll jump on board as we've got one turn left to navigate on the circuit, and on his final flying lap takes the curb on the inside quite nice and balances it perfectly on the outside up to the line. A 130.1, puts him fourth fastest as GSR Axe retires as well, and I think that's that. I don't think Ryan Jones is out on another lap as well, so we'll get Ryan Jones diving back into the pits. He's going to start 12th, Merckx and 11th just getting put right to death, and Hamjam retired, and he's just getting through with the skin in his teeth there. We've got Ghost Colt just peeling back in, P8 for him in that session. Bezos actually goes fastest. That kind of completely went under the radar for us there. Bezos, Darnell and Smoke as your top three. Beast Assassin improves up to fourth.
That's everyone now. So.
And that's everybody on the final laps, done their final laps, and the wee timer going down there. So I think we're going to let that run down first before we can start advancing to the third and final qualifying session. And is it just me, or has the skies got a bit grey?
It does look a bit overcast, doesn't it? I'm right on board with House a couple guys, but yeah, it looks very overcast. I don't know whether it's going to rain. I don't believe we've had any forecasts of rain, unless maybe we'll have a couple little interesting, maybe an interesting end to the qualifying. Maybe have an interesting Q3, which would be quite interesting because, we're not expecting it. So anything unexpected is always welcome in SLR. That's one thing for sure. As the bottom five, I'll just quickly run them through. We were Merckx misses out, which is actually quite a big one, I'd say. Is Merckx missing out there? Quite a lot of actually. The bottom five are quite shocks, really. Or the medium runners being Merckx, Ryan Jones, Jam, Sar, and GSR Axe. GSR Axe didn't manage to set a lap time. I believe his last lap time was invalidated anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But nonetheless, I believe his last lap actually was after the checkered flag, so it wouldn't have counted anyway. But yeah, it's a big shock to see all three of those top three really that have been invalidated. Ham just made it by the skin of his teeth as well. So clearly the top guys trying the contra strategy didn't quite work.
Definitely no. I feel like, you kind of also want to try and set yourself up in the best possible stead for the race. And we did see Jamham saying to us in the chat that it's going to be super close to get through, and I don't know if maybe in hindsight that was maybe a bit of uncertainty in that message, him getting through. I feel like if he threw on the soft tyres he would have easily made it through, but whether that would have actually sat with his preferred strategy is another thing. I do feel like drivers would have wanted to start on the mediums, and Jam narrowly misses out, ends up starting 13th on the day. He was 13th and 14th there. Merckx got the motor at the end, and to 11th, Ryan Jones was 12th, and you've got San, GSR Axe 14th and 15th as well. So it's not really where you want to be. You don't really want to be in that mid pack, especially considering the first sector really is quite tight on the first lap. Like when you've got your car full to the brim on fuel, your tyres are going to be nowhere near their peak, and the car's just going to feel like really, like, it's going to feel like a ton weight. It's just going to feel like a tank. Like, you're not really going to feel too confident getting into a race when your car's as heavy as it is at the start, in a very tight sequence of turns that are literally right in your face when you start anyway. So you've got the long sweeping right-hander at turn 1, tightens up for turn 2, and then it's just a complete influx of another direction there, hard left through turn 3. So, like, having that on basically race trim is not going to be suiting the drivers too well, especially in the mid-pack. We've seen a few mistakes being made through there right at the start of races. We've seen it getting a bit clustered, a bit tight on the apexes as well, so hopefully they can keep it clean through the first sector. And I think once you can get everybody into a single file and get them by the first 3 or 4 turns, then I think just kind of balancing the grid out and just getting them on a line is pretty much fair for there. So it's just a matter of keeping it clean. We've got Southerners cheering on Darnell. I think they're brothers.
They are indeed, yeah.
So it's one brother cheering on another. Darnell in Q3, and he's the sole racing point left. He is representing the Pink Panthers in the final qualifying session. As we're starting to see some drivers start their flying lap, I've just stayed on board with Freeman, and I'll get all the telemetry up so you can see what time he's putting in, what his throttle inputs are, what his ERS deployment rate is, and everything else in between. We get that luxury, we get to see what the drivers are doing in terms of that. So Freeman is starting his lap just now as he comes through the first sequence of turns up into the first sector delta line. It's a 123.5 and it's a purple first sector there. It doesn't really clip the apex there on the inside of the 6, but doesn't do too much damage. He's able to carry enough speed through there before the long sweeping left. Freeman's car, in difference in comparison to GSR Axe's car through that turn 7, that sweeping left, you can see Freeman's car, not only at the front, but at the rear, is so much more planted. It's not as loose and skittish as it was at the Mercedes earlier, so the Haas team really kind of setting up their car with a bit more downforce through there for what I can see on SLR Freeman, as we have a Moulton Hazard coming in there, but I mean, didn't really say anything, so didn't really impede him too much. But Freeman is keeping the lap tidy. Middsey sets a 129.1 and is the sole time on the board at the minute.
I tell you what, that first time's going to take some beating. That's a pretty decent first lap time. I'm pretty sure it's the fastest we've seen so far. So that's a very, very decent lap time there from Middsey, and that's the one to beat.
Definitely, and as I was saying in Q2 as well, when we were predicting the pole position man or woman, it would be Middsey would probably be a strong shout at least, because this is like a stomping ground for him. Like, he loves coming to China. Like when we sit and talk about China, like, he says one of his favourites. He does like coming here, and he always seems to grind out a good result here every time that I'm here watching him racing or seeing him racing in other leagues. He always seems to grind out a strong result here in qualifying and in the race. But talking about qualifying, Owen asked early on in the session who you think is going to be pole position. If you want to fire your predictions in, I mean, you've got it a bit easier now. You've not got 20 drivers to choose for. You've got 10. So, and predict your top 3 if you're feeling brave enough. Owen, I'm going to ask that same question to you. Who do you think is going to get pole? As we see Kenty saying it's going to be Beast Assassin.
Well, it must be said, I'd absolutely love Beast to get pole. Of course, if anybody doesn't know, he's actually my cousin, so that'd be absolutely class if he would do that. But I'll be honest, it's not quite Div 2 from last season. He was quite confident out the top last year, but I don't think he hasn't met. This is his first Q3 appearance this season, interestingly enough. So I'm not expecting all that much from him, even though I do wish the most for him. But we'll see. I'd like a top 5 quali. That'd be class. That'd be really good. But as you look around this grid, you can't take your eyes off the likes of Middsey and Freeman. I reckon Freeman's definitely still got a bit more in his locker from what I've seen from my inside sources at Haas. I'm expecting a little bit better from Freeman, I'd assume, in this, probably for his second run. He's currently 3 tenths down from Middsey, but yeah, Middsey's the man to beat at the minute, and he's definitely still the one to look out for. Don't forget Zydrad as well, he's very solid. I'd say they're going to be my top 3 at the minute, probably those 3, the 2 Haas boys and Middsey.
Definitely, I feel like I feel like Middsey would probably be like, I mean, I don't want to sound overly confident and kind of throw the cuss out there. The cuss of the commentator was quite strong last night, and I don't want to have that carrying through. But Middsey definitely would be like somebody that I would staple on pole position. I would probably say, in fact, I'm going to try and maybe go a bit out the box here, and I'm going to probably say, I think Zydrad will get second, and I think Ghost Colt will stay third. I think that's how it's going to go. I think Ghost Colt's just going to unleash a wee bit of pace, just kind of like dip into the back pocket,
he's up there at the minute. He's already in P3, so we definitely could see it. That's one thing for sure. Got up the racing point by Southerners in the chat cheering his brother on. his younger brother on. I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe. But yeah, we're seeing Darnell going for it. P7 at the minute, a little bit off, just over a second off. I'm sure he's got something to improve as well.
Definitely, plenty of room to improve, plenty of room to do better, and there's plenty of time still to do it. We've got just over 4.5 minutes remaining in the session. We've got Southern's in the chat saying up the racing point, he's my sister. Yeah, we're just sitting there talking about brothers, and Southern's just completely thrown that on it. Darnell's literally quick to respond saying, yeah, Matt's older but slower, up to Darnell's. Says Night Ranger as well, so SLR Darnell not only kind of throwing a wee bit of banter back in the face of his brother, but also getting a bit of support as well. So he is 7th at the minute. We're on board with Zydrad. He's the only driver on the circuit at the minute. We've seen McLaren of SLR Smoke just keep back onto the circuit there at the top of your map on the right hand side. I definitely feel like it's going to be Midday on pole position. I don't think he'll dominate it though. I think he'll kind of get it with scraping his teeth. Zydrad probably going to have a bit of pace here. I've not seen the lap at its fullest, so this is going to be a complete mystery to me where he's going to put himself on the timing sheet at the minute. But I feel like he's going to probably go in the front row alongside, and then Ghost Colt is going to be third place. I think he's just going to stay third. Zydrad actually goes top.
Very nice lap time there.
So he's kind of stirring the pot here a wee bit, Owen. We were sitting here kind of feeling a wee bit confident about ourselves there, saying it's going to be Midday, but Zydrad's just kind of like, I see that, I hear yous. So Zydrad's really just kind of deciding to throw the cat right in amongst the pigeons there with a time like that. We've just got the Darnells bantering between one another in the chat. But we're in the final 3 minutes. This is the squeaky bum time of the session. This is your make or break. This will determine your grid position. As we see Ghost Colt getting a tyre onto the grass there and running wide through turn 8. As we see the Haas of Zydrad just whizzing past our screens there.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably racing to get back into the pits in a minute. I can't promise him. I don't know actually. He might just, but it's going to be definitely tight if he can get another lap out. If he can get back in, get a new set on, and get out as quick as possible. If he does, fair play to him, but it's going to be a tough one. That's one thing for sure. Yeah, just looking around. Has anybody started a lap? I think Smoke started a lap, so yeah, we can ride on board with him and see how he does.
Just jumped on board with him there, and he's coming out through turn 3, and it looked relatively clean, looks relatively quick. Doesn't really want to put his right hand tyres on that curb there. Doesn't really want to unsettle the car going down there. He does improve by a 10.5 through the first sector. Gets a bit of a wheel spin on there on the rears there. You can see him having to do a wee bit of correction on the steering wheel there, and he's coming through the long left hander of 7 before quickly having to readjust and go for the right hander through 8. He's kind of drifting wide for the inside curb there, so he's not really nailing the apexes there. But turn 9 and 10, it's quite a devastating slow 2 turns there. It completely throws you right off your stride after coming off of 2 fast long right handers and left handers there, but getting greeted by 2 slow left handers really just throws you off your stride a wee bit there. Doesn't really do too much damage for Smoke, as he's still rampaging on here on his lap, as we'll just actually jump on board the front end rather than the rear end. There's nobody to be looking at behind us. As Zydrad's retired, so he's confident that pole position could be his, and he definitely didn't really feel too confident about getting another time in. So Zydrad's in a 1:29.006, and it's the time to beat as we're into the final minute of the session. Drivers will be starting their final flying laps. Smoke's up to the line, a 29.4, puts him 6th fastest.
Next stop's going to be Ghost Colt, I do believe. Oh no, yeah, no, that there is correct. I'm just double checking all the drivers I'm going through, but yeah.
Ghost Colt will be the next person to set a time. Hamjam's just starting his flying lap just now. You can see his yellow Renault dot on the map just going across the checkered flag there. So you'll see him there as we're on board with Ghost Colt. His teammate Beast Assassin just willfully getting out the way there. Ghost Colt is on a flying lap here, up to the line, perfect through turn 14 there, up to the line, and it's 3rd fastest. So Ghost Colt really just kind of planting himself in 3rd place at the minute at this stage. We've got the threat of Hamjam Freeman. Freeman's improving by 2 tenths, just shy of 3 tenths of a second through the second sector, and it's purple as well. So Freeman's really on it on this lap. Oh, and I'm on board with him here through the long right-hander at turn 13 as the checkered flag drops just there. We've got everybody on their final flying lap. Zydrad's retired, however. He's in the pit garage. He is done for qualifying. The checkered flag falls for Crispy as he goes second fastest with a 29.120, and he's put his AlphaTauri on the front row as it stands. I'm on board with Freeman through the hairpin. Looks quite clean and tidy through there. Doesn't really get any wheel spins. It's a perfect exit. Good purchase on the exit there as well. Perfect through the last turn as well. It looks to be a relatively clean lap for Freeman. Is it Paul? It is Paul! A 28.8. A Haas front row. And it's up to Midzi to improve.
Here comes Midzi now.
He's no improvement very much. It's only shy of a 10th, but it would still be improvement. He's up to the line of 28.9. Puts him second. Ghost Colt is he who's next across the line. Ham Jam's going to be the next one across the line. It's actually the Red Bull of Bezos, but he only goes 9th fastest. Ham Jam's coming to the line just now. It's a 29.5, and it's a 5th place for the Red Bull driver there. Ghost
Beast's
Colt
4 tenths up. That's not going to lift him off of P10, but if he can get enough out of this final corner, he might just be able to get himself into a solid position. Across the line, just overtakes Bez's back. He's going to be P9. So I believe that's going to be our last lot. I doubt the likes of Ghost Colt and Darnell are going to be setting another lap time. Now, Darnell's out of fuel, Ghost Colt's in the pits. That's your lineup, lads.
That's it indeed. We've got Freeman just out of nowhere on pole position. Midzi is going to be joining them alongside on the front row, and he splits the Haas's. Zydrad put in a blistering time and then had to retire. He didn't get enough time to come in, get a fresh set of boots on and go again. But it's going to be Zydrad and Crispy on the second row, Ham Jam 5th, Ghost Colt in 6th in Ferrari, Smoke representing the Soul McLaren in P7, Darnell getting the support of the chat in 8th place there, and it's Beast Assassin and Bezos on the 5th row and rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, would you say there's any surprises in there? I'd say that's quite a solid grid actually. I think it's not necessarily a surprise, but it's very solid. And you would think Crispy, because of course he was one of the guys, a bit like Beast and Darnell. He came up from Division 2 last season. He's gone up 2 divisions rather than what most guys have done, and they've just gone up the 1. I mean, he got pole in Bahrain, so he's definitely, well, not of a shock, it's fair to say. But yeah, he's looking very solid indeed. And from what it seems, I believe we're going to be restarting and making a new grid. So even more time that we're going to lose. So it might just be a little bit more than the 5-minute break that we're accustomed to.
And I think this will be a prime opportunity to get your predictions in for the race 1, who you think is going to be on the podium. And if you're feeling brave enough, daring enough, predict is your fastest lap winner. As we see Freeman on pole position, Midzi is on the front row alongside in P2. We were hotly tipping him for the pole position slot, but he has to settle for one less. Zydrad in 3rd, Crispy, I will admit I will agree with Owen in that he is a surprise package. We didn't really speak about him too much, and then he's just sitting, he's the one dipping into his back pocket for that extra couple of tenths in the AlphaTauri, so he's in P4. Ham Jam and Ghost Colt on the 3rd row, 5th and 6th there. With Smoke in the McLaren P7, Darnell in 8th, and Beast Assassin 9th in the other Ferrari, and Bez is the leading Red Bull in P10. And we are going to use this time just for general chat while the host organises that lobby, organises the grid. Myself and Owen will be here just for general discussion, for any questions that you've got, for predictions that you might have. Just please be sure to fire them in, and we'll kind of get on top of that. And also we just want to kind of pass on our apologies for the slight inconvenience and the delay that we're going to be having at this point. We normally have a 5-minute interval, but as Owen says, we might be greeted to a slightly longer interval while we get this arranged once again. SLR V Tax is oi, who is speaking. Never heard this person speak before. Well, it is yours truly. It is the one and only Riggs, joined in the comment with alongside Owen. I'm normally the voice of the Division 3 streams, but I've jumped in alongside Owen for Elite because we for it. So I'm here once again.
How come
I
you've
mean,
got a
if you watch
lobby
them as a
invite
free
before
stream,
me? This is a disgrace. This is.
I'm an invite.
Oh no, it looks
Oh,
like invite. Oh, you were on the lobby. I thought you were in one. I saw you the lobby on the
oh,
screen. I thought you were in the new lobby. Never mind.
oh no. No, I like see when everybody leaves the session. I'm normally one that just likes to kind of stay there and just kind of wait and
Yeah,
see
I've been sat on
when
the
things like
menus
this
waiting
happen.
for one, waiting, begging.
Like, no, cause see when these kind of things happen, like I get like a big, like it sounds really weird, but like I get like a big bit of anxiety because like when I'm league racing and I see people leaving, I kind of wonders like, is it me just disconnecting, or is this
Yeah,
actually meant to be happening? Are we actually restarting? So like it kind of does unsettle me. So that's kind of why I like to wait it out and see if it actually is me, or whether it's just the lob. But as the commentator in the stream, I just chose to stay in and just wait and see what the grid result was. Just kind of do another rundown of that once again, and then just waiting until we get the invite and get the grid sorted, and pretty much just go for there. Night Ranger says they sound sexy, don't they? I mean, don't get me wrong, like the accents, it kind of woos a lot of people, but I mean, there's just as many people that don't really like the accent. SLR VTAX says it's so soothing. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I'll take that in my stride.
yeah.
So getting a few compliments on my accent it's quite flattering if I'm being honest, but it's something that I wouldn't expect to hear in a league racing stream chat. But there you go.
You know, it's very it's very nice to say. I'm sure they're on about it than you rather than me, but let's hope I get some point of that. But nonetheless, yeah, no. Well, yeah, if it's your first time watching, I see that. Well, considering you didn't know who Reese is, I'm assuming it probably is one of your first times watching. So, well, welcome to the stream, of course. As the game today shows, I mean, I'm pretty sure I actually helped to test you. So, yeah, well, welcome to the stream. If it's the first time that you have been in the stream, I've been a bit ill recently, so I haven't really been seeing any streams or anything. So it's been quite weird, kind of coming in today, not really expecting much. I haven't really put up much, so yeah, I have to wait and we'll have to see how today goes. I'm still looking forward to it nonetheless, as that never changes my enthusiasm. So yeah, we shall see.
Talking about first time watching, as soon as you were literally just done speaking there on SLR VTAC X. I don't know how I'm saying that, so I do apologise.
I think it's VTAX. I think you're right, to be fair.
Is it VTAX? So if I'm saying it wrong, please just let us know. But I mean, that's how I'll say it until told otherwise. I had the same issue with Dared Paul last night in the chat, because I always say Dared Paul. I know it says Dared, but it just sounds really weird on my tongue saying Dared Paul, sorry. So I always call him Dared Paul, and then he was like, it's Dared Paul, and I'm like, nah, you're just getting called Paul now, mate. And he's like, no, that's fine. I can settle for that. So I'm like, it's good to see that we can come to a compromise there. But he says, SLR VTAC says, first time watching Elite, and you were saying, warm welcome to everybody that is new to the stream. I'm just going to want to reiterate that and expand on that once again. So I just want to give you a warm welcome. We just want to also apologise for the slight delay. We had a small inconvenience in the lobby, and we're just restarting it. We've got our grid sorted. We've got our grid results finalised, so we are going to just have to get that grid arranged, wait for the invite, and then we'll get the green light to go. So this is your prime opportunity to go and get the kettle on, go and get your toilet break in, go and get yourself a nice wee bar of chocolate, packet of crisps, slice of toast, whatever, and get yourself strapped in, whether you're watching it in your living room on the couch with your mates or your family, or if you're just in your bed lying watching, or your hot tub, or whatever you're watching for whatever luxury you've got, then strap yourself in and be ready for 28 laps of action through the Shanghai International Circuit. It really is one of the tracks in my opinion, that really courage and really actively promotes wheel-to-wheel racing. I mean, you might not see it in the second sector, but the big kilometre long straight really is going to be where we're going to see driver positions just chopping and changing. And we're going to see some late moves into that hairpin. I know Freeman absolutely loves a dive bomb, so if I
He
don't
really
see
does,
one of
doesn't
them
he?
this race, I will be disappointed. I will be quite upset with that. I'm not saying go out and date and ruin somebody's race, but we normally see that in his style of driving, because that's how he likes to go about his overtakes. He likes to kind of be really late on the brakes. He likes to dare. He likes to dare himself to go and do these like extremely ambitious moves, and he does pull them off. But sometimes they come at a price.
Yeah.
Freeman, actually, we've got Southerners saying Freeman to win in the chat, and is Freeman going to win, Owen? Do you think he'll win?
Yeah, just a quick one. You just need to press that spec the way, but
Sorry, lads.
nonetheless, I'd love to see Freeman win, just because, well, of course, I'm in the same car as him, just a little bit slower. So I do what he does, just slower. Yeah, I'd love to see Freeman get a win, some lovely constructors points. He doesn't love it. Same as Zydrad. I've already almost forgotten what the qualifying order was. So it is still mid. No, I've completely forgotten who's on pole.
It's Freeman.
Freeman is on
Freeman
pole.
Midze. Freeman Midze, Zydrad, Crispy, Ham, Ghost Colt is your top 6, and then it's Smoke. Smoke. Who's
Smoke,
eighth?
Darnell,
Darnell,
Beast, and
Bezzers.
Bezzers. I know the bottom 4. I don't know the top 6. Typical. Anyway, yeah. No, I think Freeman goes all the way from converting pole to victory. It's not uncommon, to say the least, but we shall see. It's going to be a very exciting race, I'm sure, nonetheless.
Right.
And
so
yeah, you were saying about that dive bomb that he loves to pull off. We could definitely see one or two of them today, I'm sure. He's a bit of almost like a victim to them the other day. Well, I should say, really, it wasn't. Last weekend, I remember I saw being, of course, I'm a steward for Elite as well, so I've got quite a big involvement with this division. So considering I've done, well, last season especially, I did a lot of the commentary for this division until, I should say more Division 1, but a lot of these drivers I'm familiar with commentating with. But yeah. Nonetheless, yeah, I'm in the street for this division, and we saw a couple instances where I believe Midzi and Freeman got into it a little bit, got a bit feisty with one another. We like to see a little bit of rivalry, but it was a bit scary sometimes just seeing those two go at it, get a bit of a wheel banging going on. We don't want see drivers in a wall. We didn't see a driver in a wall, fortunately. Yeah, and I must say the walls are a bit far away from the track on this track. Yeah, the walls are a bit far away from the road on this track, I should say. So it should be okay, as I believe the drivers are readying up, and the drivers are readying up, and we should be getting underway. I must say though, I've just come to the realization that I managed to find a barrier on Friday, so I'm eating my own words already before them even coming out of my mouth. So this is amazing.
Oh, definitely, it's been one of them. But so if Freeman, in your mind, is gonna win, who is gonna join him on the podium?
Ooh.
In your mind,
I wouldn't waste. Kind of thinking about this grid, and thinking about some good performances from today, and I'd expect probably Midzi to be on the podium. As you say, he's very strong around here. He could I'd probably say he's probably still to win, is Midzi, even though he's not starting on pole, but he's still very, of course, and he'll be looking to, well, still to get the win nonetheless. And yeah, well, we've got those guys around him, like some Zydrad, Ghost Colt, I'm sure will be doing some decent as well. Of course, Ham, he just missed out, if I remember correct. I believe he came P2 last time out in Hanoi. Of course, last week's winner, Jam, and he's currently the championship as well. He's starting P13. I'm expecting perhaps a start on the mediums strategy, maybe even the hards, who knows. Definitely an alternate strategy. I very much doubt he'll be starting on the soft, same as Merckx and Ryan Jones. Those guys, or those three in particular, even B-Dunk will probably start on the hards, knowing that he's that far back. I'd expect maybe something like that, but we shall see. This division's so close as it is, literally anything can happen. One mistake, you're out of the points, so this could really it's all to play for, even if you're starting P20 like B-Dunk is, or if you're starting first. So, everything can happen, and I'm excited to see how it goes. It's going to be fun.
Uh, Definitely, I'm ready for 28 laps of this race, and I'm literally buckled down on my chair in my room, and I'm ready to get underway. If we're having a small break, this is your time, but I mean we'll get a final clarification on that if the break is actually going to be implemented. It normally is, so I wouldn't be too surprised.
I believe it'll either be 2 or 3 minute break there, so the 5 minute break will be reduced, but I guess technically it's been extended anyway, considering we had to restart the lobby. So yeah, if and musts, but yeah. Anyway, should be underway shortly.
When we say like it'll be cut by a couple of minutes, it literally is just extended, so the drivers still win, and as viewers, you also win purely on the basis that you've got enough time to get your tea made, your toilet break in, get yourself comfy. I'm pretty much ready. I've got my bottle of water next to me, so I'll be using that to keep myself hydrated and fresh during the race. Owen will probably have the similar setup as myself. I'm probably going to go for I know the qualifying prediction was wrong, but I still think Midzi can win.
Yeah.
So I'll go for Midzi. I'll probably say... Oh, we're actually starting. But I'll say, right, okay, second will be Zydrad, and third will be Hamjam. That's my prediction. That's
well then, we've got Let's Go Renault by Nicky, who is of course a Renault driver in Division 2. Of course, we've got, with the Renault drivers here tonight, we've got Ham and Dylan. Ham's starting P5, Dylan is starting in I thought it was P16. No, of course it wasn't. Snipes got eliminated, so it's P17. And I believe we're getting underway as there we go. We just cut to the formation lap, and in fact, there we go. Freeman will get us underway with that. So Freeman and Midzi starting in the front row should be something very, very tasty to watch, I'd assume.
And
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just gonna say, and I'm looking at the tyre selection for the top 10, and it ticks all the boxes for the OCD people in the chat. And because really the top 5 are mediums, bottom 5 are softs, so I quite like that in a particular sense. But you just seen the strategy flash up at the bottom of your screen there. If you're on the mediums, you're most likely looking to be pit at 13 to 15 kind of region there. I think that's your main pit window for the hards. Soft tyres, it most likely will be a 2. I don't know if you can really stretch the softs to about lap 9 and go in the hards to 10.
Yeah, I think you'd be able to do a soft hard. A soft medium is almost impossible, although I'm pretty sure we did see a medium soft on Friday. I think we saw Tuman. I think he did a medium soft, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't even remember how that happened for him. But anyway, yeah, that still, that's going to be very hard, and have to involve a lot of time management. I've noted as well, Crispy has been disqualified, so he must clean 7. But I must say, it does look quite nice. It's almost perfect. This I guess you could say the symmetry almost, apart from P15 and 16, because the bottom 4 are all on the hards. The bottom 5 are all on the hards, other than Snipes. So really, what we just wanted to see is Snipes and Axe the other way around, and it would be quite nice. I mean, it's not quite a medium soft, but I'll tell you what, 5 medium softs are very happily taken for me.
Definitely, it does tick the boxes. I mean, GSR Axe and Snipes, if they switched it round, it'd be a perfect sweep in my opinion. 5, 5, 5 and 5. But we're going to just have to settle for how it is. But we're also going to have to settle for the drivers just putting themselves in the grid slots. Get on with the last one there. You can see him right in the background there, and the heat is there in the back. In the racing point, he's just resuming his place just now. I will try and get a good camera angle for the lights, and you can let me know what happens near the back, and I'll cover the front on the stream. But anyway, it's the moment we've been waiting for in this race. Qualifying is done, and the race will be starting soon. The lights are on. We're at 3, we're at 4, and we're on the final light. The cars are revving, the lights are on, and they're off. and we're ready to go racing here. Renault has got a perfect launch off the start there. That's Hamjam already up to third, and it could be the lead in turn one. What a brilliant launch for the Renault there. Hamjam's went for 51st in a lap. Freeman's holding it round the outside to try and keep that lead, but he's lost out to the Renault. Midsy's trying to keep in there, and he's just having to lock up a bit there, where we see Ghost Coat and Zydrad switching for places for fair. Smoke's up to 6, Darnell's up a place. Crispy's lost 5 off the start, so it's a disastrous start for the AlphaTauri. Mercs and Bezzes have switched places there, 10th and 11th there. Mediums and softs there, we see Carbon Fibre shooting down the field into turn 6 there. But it's a brilliant start for the Renault. That launch again. That is a brilliant start there for Hamjam. And Zydrad and Freeman have switched places, so... And Freeman's... I thought Freeman had damage there, but I couldn't see on the wing there. But
yeah, I definitely saw a bit of damage.
At the back of the field that's got damaged. Have we got any idea who the damage is on?
SAR's just... I think... Well, SAR almost went round there, but yeah, I think he just caught the back end a little bit. From what it seemed, I think Jam was just braking going into turn 9, and I think a couple of guys just caught the back of him as I saw Crispy go. Oh, I've noticed Crispy's falling down the order quite a bit.
Beasts away! Beasts away onto the grass. Sorry, Owen, I've just completely cut you off there.
Yeah, no,
I just watched that
on there. As I was side by side. I should say Crispy and Jam are going side by side. Crispy's lost a lot of positions off the start. And in fact, I saw Jam and Ryan go side by side. I must say Merck's done a fantastic start from P11 up to P6 already. So that's a great start from him and from Red Bull. And yeah, we continue on. I rode on board Jam pretty much from the start. It was mid-sea pits, so clearly he had some wing damage. I think I did see a bit of carbon fibre fly off his car early on. That makes sense.
And sorry, just to cut across you there again, now I've got the position changes up there, and Ghost Coat's up to second as well, so Ham and Jam, 5th and 6th, are already up to 1st and 2nd, so the 3rd row is became the leading row, getting the small timing glitch on our screens there as well, which should quickly just filter itself out, as it says everybody's having a wee shot of that leading position there, but it can only belong to one person, and it belongs to Ham Jam at the minute, and it says Midsy's in the lead when he is actually last in the pits.
I just saw Beasts starting to make his way up the pack. He just done an outrageous dive around the outside of Paraquix into turn 6, and that was absolutely beautiful. It must be said, it was an amazing move. And he's coming onto the back of the guys coming up to the P15 around Snipes, Motion Hazard around that region now. So Midsy's at the back, which just doesn't look right seeing Midsy at the back. So clearly that wing damage has come back to haunt him. I did notice he did lose quite a few places off the start. I wonder if maybe he had a bit of a coming together at the start. I didn't quite see.
Oh, sorry. We'll need to watch it back on the replays there, or get a word film at some point later, but we've got Darnell up the inside of Zydrad, up to 3rd, Owen. Racing Points have made a brilliant start here. Darnell's went from 8th to 3rd, and you've got B-Dunk that's went past to 11th, and literally just knocking on Crispy's door for the points. Like, what a brilliant start.
Those soft runners are clearly showing them how it's done. But Jam's pitted now as well, so clearly he picked up some damage. So that's him out the... Well, I don't think he actually made it into the points, but that's him out of the current running as it is, so to speak. Same as well, he's in. And yeah, I mean, it's a great... Yeah, as I say, it's a great start from the soft runners, but instantly to Darnell and Ghost Coat. We're both in the podium, and we hunting down Ham now.
Exactly, and Ham Jam's going to have Darnell and Ghost Coat for close company there. Zydrad's still keeping with. There isn't really too much between anybody until you get to Bezzes and Smoke. There's a 1.4 second gap. Got a small train with him with Smoke and the two AlphaTauris, and then it's 1.4 to, and then the gaps start to kind of filter out and get a bit bigger as they go. But big losers off that start was Crispy. I don't even know what happened to Crispy. Like he bogged down and just gets swamped in the pack.
He had a bit of contact, maybe just maybe through the first sequence of turns, maybe the first 4 turns or so. I'm not quite sure exactly what it was, but yeah. Oh,
and we've got a switch for the lead. Got a switch for the lead. Ghost Coat's running outside of Ham Jam at the hairpin. Ham Jam's having to concede the play. Still in P2. He's just going to tuck in behind. Ghost Coat takes the lead on lap 3, about to start the 4th lap. Sorry, just to cut across you there, Owen. Every time I'm going to see a move, I'm going to have to sustain the move. But we've still got a big train here. Mercs and Bezzes, the two Red Bulls, getting a strong start as well. Bezzes started 10th, up into 7th. Mercs was 11th, up to 6th. So both Red Bulls making a good start. Both going backwards off the start. Isn't he too detrimental to their strategy though? Isn't he too damaging to their race? They're still there in touching distance, as is the two Red Bulls who were in the mid pack as well. Ryan Jones and Crispy, 9th and 10th, two Alpha Tauris there. Crispy lost out massively after starting P4. Ryan Jones is up 3 places for 12th on the field. Beast Assassins just been in the way. You've got the two Mercedes coming up. Everybody's just been chopping and changing. It's not just be 1 or 2 positions, it's literally been a fair few. Like, they've not just swapped places with another person, they've literally like done big rises and big falls. Like, that's how much the grid's really changed.
So either you had a great start or you had a horrendous start, it seems, or at least for most of these guys. I did watch, enough as you were talking about Ghost Cult making the move, his teammate Beast would do the same thing, and Motion has a literally into the same turn, a few seconds back, as you would expect after his unfortunate spin coming out of turn 13. But I'm riding on board now with Ed moved up on his teammate, considering Ryan has got DRS. Oh no, he's going to let him go. Ryan's let Crispy go.
And talking about moves again, Owen, we've got Hamjam re-teed up the inside of Ghost Colt into the hairpin. So Ghost Colt's going to have Darnell for close company here as well. Darnell's going to have DRS, but so is Ghost Colt. He's going to use that as defence as well as a potential attack on the Renault in front once again as we come through the long sweeping right-hander for the 5th time out of 28. And we're starting to really see, this is a 7-man fight. It's got the two Red Bulls, it's got the two Haases, it's got Hamjam for Renault, you've got Ghost Colt and Sekit for Ferrari, you've got the racing point of Darnell, and then that shot there just before we came into the break into turn 6, we had a beautiful long shot of them all, just line astern behind the Renault. It was a beautiful shot there, but we're going to just use this quick opportunity to look at the chat. Nicky says, let's go, what a start. It was an absolutely brilliant start. I'll definitely be watching that back. Like, I want to see that launch. The Renault just gets it just looked like it hooked up perfectly, and you'd just seen Hamjam darting out. I literally noticed it straight away, and talking about one Renault, the other one retires and brings out the yellow flags in the form of SLR Dillon. I think he's just ran wide and lost the car at turn 7, that's where the yellow flags have been waved.
There's a VSC as well.
And it's a
I'm just kind of seeing, I've just seen, so he's probably, I'm assuming maybe just clipped that curb into turn, what turn's that? Turn 7. Maybe just mounted that inside curb, and it maybe just span him a little bit, looking like he kind of, almost like he's just gone straight on instead of turning for turn 8. So just by looking at kind of where it was, I reckon he maybe just clipped that curb a bit too much, and the car's just kind of spun. It's almost taken that curb, rode it too much.
And the yellow flags in the VSC has meant that there's some pit lane activity already on lap 6. Pit window is open for the 2-stop strategy to the hards, so it says on the right hand side there, the powered by AWS pit strategy telemetry screen thing, whatever you want to call it. But we've got some pit lane action. I'll just jump on board something that's actually on the track. We've got Motion has it's ghosted, so I don't know what's happened there, Owen. But GSR Axe is up into 9. V-Dunk's up into 8th. On the hard tyres, he's literally just kind of jumping in at the DRS activation detection zone, with Ryan Jones. So V-Dunk's up 12 places on lap 6. If he can keep pace with Ryan Jones in front, who's in the mediums, V-Dunk can really be in for a strong result here.
Yeah, we could definitely see something from him. I mean, well, of course, his teammate Dan was just pitted. I saw a lovely little angle of the number 73 car just pull into the pits, and it was, of course, I wasn't surprised, I wasn't shocked to see at least 1 or 2 of the soft runners pull into the pits, but it seemed it was 4 of them. So all 4, or I should say all 5 other than Ghost Colt of those soft runners. So it's only Ghost Colt that hasn't. He definitely didn't miss the pits, but everyone else that was on that soft compound tyre decided that it was time to call it, and that is exactly what they've done. They've all come onto the hards as well, so all identical strategies for those 4. And Ghost Cult will have to be longing that out for a little bit more. Funny enough, Beast came out literally just ahead of Midzi. Literally, I think they pretty much went almost nose to tail through the first sector. Unfortunately, Beast has just had a bit of a dodgy exit of turn 13 again, and Midzi's just got him back down the straight, and that'll be P16 for the man that was tipped for the race to win.
see, there's a bit in me on that's just kind of like, let's just no throw predictions out there anyway, because we can just see how damaging it can end up being at times. The curse,
Yeah.
they say it as a joke, like the curse, oh, it's the commentators' curse, it's this, it's that. But see, honestly, see when you're actually in the commentary booth and you're like, oh, I do think he's going to do that, I do think he's going to win, I do think he's going to get a podium. You just completely throw this heap of bad luck on them, and it just doesn't really work out for them. We've got mere chat action in the form of I am Ben saying you guys can only stop my man taking his wings. I'm assuming that's a Red Bull pun or joke in there somewhere. I could be entirely wrong. Please be sure to correct me if I am. Panther saying more than the Ferraris, and the Southerners cheering on his brother Joe. Darnell chose him and Bezos chose to come in under the VSC conditions. 12th and 13th, they're both in clear air. That could be a masterstroke in their move. Could definitely see that benefit in them. And the longer the race comes in, we see Ghost Colt coming in, so the Ferrari crew are out making some work on the Ferrari. We'll wonder what strategy he's going to go with. I think he'll probably just basically go into the hards as well and just kind of try and react to what Darnell and Business was doing, and he does. He goes into the hards. So
yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on him as I'm interested to see just where he'll come out in comparison to Darnell. Of course, they were second and third beforehand, and it looks like it's going to be quite close. As he's come out just perhaps a second or so in front. In fact, just less than a second, about half a second between the two of them. So it's definitely tight, and that battle shall continue.
And we'll just jump on board with Darnell here as he is, just tucking up behind the Ferrari. So the VSC in itself, it didn't really lose him any time, didn't really gain him any time either. So nothing ventured, nothing gained there. Doesn't really done too much damage. Hasn't really had a big benefit either, because you can save so much time by pitting under VSC if it's the exact right time. If everything's kind of hitting every note perfectly, then you can be a big massive benefit of a virtual safety car pit stop. It just doesn't really hit all the notes for Darnell, but it hasn't really been poor either. It just worked out as an average pit stop, because we've seen him behind Ghost Colt in this big battle for the lead, and then we saw him just right behind Ghost Colt once again. He is just kind of keeping around the 1 second mark, so he's really just going to have to try and claw that back in and just keep in the DRS. As soon as he gets into the DRS once on, I think he's going to just get himself right back into where he was just a few laps ago, because the DRS, not only is it powerful here, it really does help you out when you're in it. And if you're out it really damages you. Like, see, if you're on your own, you can't expect to gain any time, really. If somebody else in front is going to have DRS or whatever, you can't really benefit from that, because it's just so important in this circuit. Anyway, there's not really too many close battles going on, unless you're looking at the back of the field, where we've got Midzi, Hub and Sa, and Beast Assassin for close company there in 15th. I'm on board with Max, who's right behind Freeman. He's a 6 tenths of a second gap between the two, and he'll probably have DRS down this straight if he keeps it clean through 11 and 12 and along the sweeping right-hander at 13. Max is another one of these drivers, strong. I mean, qualifying admittedly has been average. I mean, he ended up qualifying 11th. He just got pulled out of the Q3 shootout right at the death. But I mean, starting 11th probably did help him a lot there as well, because it gave him the free choice of tyre. He's been able to be a bit more flexible with his strategy. And he's up to 4th, and he's sitting here keeping pace with Freeman, who's dropping off his Hydrad and Ham Jam up front.
Yeah, it seems like it was a very, very solid start for Merckx there. Talking about solid starts, you can't not talk about Ham. And actually, I would like to say how similar this is to what I actually think was the last race that I commentated on. And I did, that's enough me off, I was on your role, but I was doing it was Bahrain, and this track in front of Ham had the exact same start. They just had a lightning start. And the exact same thing happened in Bahrain, and where he was a bit, well, I don't know how to say, he was just a bit well, he's probably a bit far back. I think he started P6, which again is very similar. And yeah, he just jumps up and he got the lead before turn 1. So everyone was quite shocked by that last time in Bahrain, well, a couple of weeks ago in Bahrain, I should say. But it seems like he's done something which ends up being very similar. The only problem there was he didn't have the race pace, and he really was struggling. But that start kind of got him a podium, and he was managed to stick in with the, well, I believe Midzi overtook him, and then he just stayed in Midzi's DRS and got himself a podium because of it. But this time, he's in the lead by that second, or just about, because Zydrad's just got the DRS off of him. But yeah, he's there or thereabouts, just solidly ahead, and he's leading this race. So yeah, it's perhaps a different contrast from a couple of weeks ago, but it's still quite funny to see just how similar it was.
Definitely, like it's the similarities can be quite scary at times. But we've also got Merckx coming into the pits as well in lap 10. The end of lap 10, and Merckx is in the pit lane, and I'm assuming he's going to go into the hards as well, which he does, yep. So he's going to the hards as well. So medium strategy runners aren't opting for the hards. Even the soft runners are opting for the hards. So the hard tyre seems to be the tyre of choice for the strategy. That definitely seems to be the route that the drivers are opting to go down. I'm just looking through the field to see what else is really happening. I'm just going to jump on board with Ghost Colt as he's right up behind Paraquix, and it's one of the closest battles on the circuit. But Merckx pitting has brought him out just behind his teammates, so Red Bull's running 11th and 12th.
Very solid stop there.
The points.
In fact, he's got a pass them already.
And Merckx is up the inside into turn 6. Apologies for missing the overtake there, but Merckx quickly getting past his teammate there. And on the fresher rubber, he's going to be able to chase down Darnell, who's literally just right there in front of us in our screens there as we ride on board the Red Bull through turn 9 and through turn 10 as well. And Merckx really going to probably feel a lot more confident on the hard tyres. Darnell's is 4 laps old compared to Merckx, literally just fresh out the oven. And fresh on the car, so Merckx really will be not only have to try and get these tyres up to temperature in an optimum window, but he's going to have that extra tyre life as well. As we see Hamjam dive into the pits, Freeman into the pits as well. GSR Axe is left the session. Is Merckx going to be close enough with the ERS and DRS activated? He doesn't actually use his ERS there, so he opted against using it. So in terms of ERS, Darnell is on the back foot for Merckx, because Merckx is double what Darnell's got, and Bez is 38%, which is just as similar as Darnell as well. So Merckx really did an exceptional job in ERS management as well, as he decides to deploy it down to turn 1. Does he go up for the move? He does not. He's just up tucking behind, but he's got to take a tight line to go up the inside. He is. He's got to go up inside. They're touched, and they're touching, and they're still touching, and they're not new, and they're going to run the outside. Merckx run the outside of 3, and he's going to try and hold it on the outside. Darnell's going to keep the inside line, and he's going to have Merckx on the outside, and they're still going to go side by side down to turn 4 and 5, down to the hard breakings on a turn 5. Merckx off the inside gives Darnell a wee bit of a squeeze, but Darnell isn't giving up on it just yet. But he has to eventually concede the place there as Merckx held it in. Round the outside of turn 3, kept it side by side into the hard braking zone. The slightest squeeze was enough to put Darnell behind, and Merckx, after a hard graft, go up into 8th. And he's going to have 1.5 seconds off of clear air before he's got the Alfa Romeo or Paraquix to contend with, and this will eventually come back to the leading pack as well, as Hamjam's pitted from from the lead into 5th place. So he's got some clear air as well. Ghost Colt is right there as well. You can see him in the Ferrari just behind us here on board the Renault. So Hamjam and Ghost Colt really kind of coming out in a perfect position here with a bit of clean air. Paraquix is still on 11 lap old hard tyres. Merckx is making quick work of Darnell, and Darnell is down to 9th. I mean, and Bez is in the top 10 and rounding it up as the one stop strategy opens up for the medium runners, mediums to hards. Lap 13 to 15 is your pit window here. Zydrad's opting to keep his tyres going for another couple of laps yet. We've had Hamjam, Ghost Colt, Merckx, Bez, everybody that was in that battle for the lead pitting, and Zydrad's just deciding to keep pushing. We'll see how long he goes on the medium tyres, because he's not really dropped off in any pace. I've not really noticed any real dip in performance from the Haas driver at the front. So
yeah, he seems he's
whether or not
been very solid. Sorry to that button there, but I noticed that he probably, I believe that the optimum strategy should have the medium runner pitting on this lap. So I'd assume perhaps we might see our current race leader in the pits, but it must be worth noting as well. Ghost Colt, he's well, Ham of course has just pitted in front of him, but the gap hasn't really changed all that much. So and they'll definitely both be going to the ends. Of course, Ham's tyres will be a little bit fresher when we get to the end of this race, but I'd expect them both to take these tyres to the end. But yeah, they're currently 1-2 as they were before Ghost Colt pitted off of the softs. Not well, a few laps ago, so about 8 laps ago now. But yeah, Zydrad's made it into the pits now, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. And Merckx makes it up into P6, as I've just seen. As many others will be making moves there as well. I think I saw Ryan Jones just overtake Smoke, and yeah, so it must be also worth noting as well, depending on, of course, on where Zydrad comes out, as which we will see now. Zydrad has actually come out ahead of Ghost Colt, so Zydrad is now in a net P2, Ghost Colt's in a net P3, and Merckx is in a net P4. So that just shows how good a race he's had, really.
And really feeds into the idea that maybe starting outside the top 10, having the fresh choice of tyre really did work in his stride. He is up into a net P4, like you say, up into he's P6 at the moment, but he's a net P4 if you're counting B Dunk and GSR Axe, who's still to pit. We actually had GSR leave the session, so I don't think we can actually get him back in. I don't know if the rule applies.
Yeah, unfortunately the new rules that have been brought in for these races, with all the problems that are happening with the game at the minute, which is really unfortunate to see, as a lot of the guys have been very strongly spoken about the current incidents that have happened. We've had a lot of problems so far this season with game glitches, but yeah, as you say, we've got the likes of GSR Axe, who would normally be able to I'd be able to chuck him an invite and he'll be able to get back into the session, but unfortunately with the ruling we've had to take, we believe that the cause of some of these glitches are people rejoining back from lobbies.
Sorry, we've got Darnell. We've got Darnell, sorry to cut across you there, we've got Darnell going for a late break and move into the hairpin there. He did give a wee bit of his elbows out there into the hairpin against Paraquicks there, but Paraquick ended up getting the place back. Sorry just to completely cut across you there. I was just watching Darnell closing in the slipstream. DRS was open, the ERS was in full flow, and I was wondering, I was sitting there saying to myself on board his camera, I was like, is he going to go for it? Is he going to go for it? And then he went for it. And I was like, no, Owen, I need to say this, I need to tell you about it. And he nearly made it work too. I think he just left the braking a tad late, and it ended up just giving Paraquicks a bit of a bump as well. He didn't really expect it too much for what we could see on board the racing, but albeit the move was brave, it didn't really have the payoff that Darnell would have liked, but hasn't really done any damage to either driver, and he's still in the same position he once was. So I think he's probably going to go for another stab at it down the straight once again if he can keep this close, because it's the main battle we're looking at on the track. And not only is between Paraquicks and Darnell, we've got Crispy and we've got Bezes just there and waiting. You can see them just half a second shy of Darnell, and Crispy's literally just right behind Bezes as well, and Freeman as well. Oh, and just to kind of have a brief mention there, Freeman's right behind Crispy as well. So Freeman, who did pit his own 2-lap old hard tyres, he seems to be the biggest loser in that big
about to battle. Talk about him, not too long ago, because I've realised that it seems Freeman's really had a bit of a shocker since pitting, because, well, I'm pretty sure he was only a second, maybe 2 seconds down from his teammate before he pitted, and yeah, I mean, he's not down 2 seconds at all, because that put him P4, but in fact he's down about 8 positions. So yeah, clearly something's gone a little bit wrong for Freeman. Maybe it might have just been a traffic situation with the undercut or whatnot. We don't know, but yeah, not a great sight to see for Freeman. He's currently out of the points. He won't be for long, as we've still got 3 guys still to pit, and I'm sure they will come out ahead of him. But so they'll come up behind him. But yeah, Freeman really seems to have had a struggle, especially in this second stint. So we shall see how he can fight back, perhaps. as I'm sure he'll slowly close up to the likes of Crispy and Bezos, as he has quite quickly actually.
He's got himself right back into this train for P6, and Paraquix is yet to pit, so Freeman and everybody in between will be able to benefit from another position once Paraquix. But I don't really know what's happened. Maybe a small issue for Freeman. It's completely under the radar for us, and he's just lost. He's been the biggest loser in terms of that front six battle that we just saw right at the start of the race. So he's gave himself a fair joke today, and he's still in 10th. It's just a matter of getting through the pack. But the big danger is as we see Darnell making the move stick on Paraquix this time.
So round 2, a second time lucky that.
Exactly, another shot at it will do you no harm, as we see Paraquix actually diving into the pits as we jump on board with Crispy. But what really is, like you're saying there, Owen, is that Freeman might have had a small issue that's just went under the radar. There's as well. Hamjam regains the lead, but Freeman's got Crispy right in front of him. He's got Bezos right in front of Crispy. He's got Darnell there. Then there's a gap. Then it's Merckx. Then it's Ghost Colt. I mean, we were sitting here kind of thinking he's definitely one for the podium, but it's really hard to cut through a pack, especially when the pack's in a big train. Like, you can't really get that benefit cutting through the pack when everybody's just kind of line of stern at this, like this, because you've got everybody tucked behind 5th place. Like, they're not going to have DRS. The ERS management is actually they're literally so similar. It's quite scary. Like, I just had a quick flick through them all there, and they had very similar ERS usage and deployment there on the screens. So they're kind of running a very similar style of ERS deployment. And then, like, we'll see how Freeman works down this straight. If we're going to see Freeman really make some moves, he's going to maybe have to try and bring out some of his trademark dive bombs and his lunges.
Seems like, his ERS is quite low.
And we see Crispy getting up the inside of Bezos into the hairpin. This is for 6th place at Alpha Tauri on its big brother, the Red Bull here. And it's the little sister that makes its way past. 6 for Crispy. Bezos has to lose out this time around, and he's on the back foot from Freeman, who's going to be looking to get the ERS deployment on. He's got the DRS open there. Both of them DRS open. Freeman running outside into 1, makes it stick. Brilliant move there.
Solid move,
solid number 9 pass. It's a solid move there. I think he was maybe just waiting to see what was happening in front, and if he's maybe just going to sit in there saying to himself, we'll wait until maybe one of the drivers in front make a move. Like, so when Crispy made the move on Bezos, he's just going to be like, right, if he makes the move, it'll unsettle the driver, and I'll just take the place at the next turn. And that's exactly what it looks like he's done. He's having to try and play it a bit more logical here if he's going to try and maximise his points outtake at the end of this race. We've got 10 laps left. Anything can still happen.
Yeah, sorry, I was just coming there, but yeah, I've just watched B Dunk and Smoke actually go side by side, pretty much from turn 6, the hairpin, all the way through, probably I'd say to almost turn 8. It was really good to watch actually. It was good to see from those two, but I'm not expecting much more of those two to battle really. Yeah, just kind of going through, looking at the times that these guys are going to pass, how roughly these hards are going to last, because you got to look, Midsy's are now 15 laps he's been on his tyres, and we've still got 10 more laps to go. Wonder whether if his tyres might be feeling a bit sore towards the end.
The tyres are definitely going to be seeing a few blisters and an excessive amount of tyre wear. China's no a nice track for your tyres. It's actually quite ruthless for your tyre wear, and your degradation levels are through the roof. So I don't think Midsy might actually, I don't think he'll get them to the end. He is running 10th. I mean, if he could get them to the end and still manage a point, that it's definitely, even though he was second in qualifying, he won the front row and just get tangled up somewhere in between, I would definitely say managing hard tyres for the start to the end and still scoring a point is at least a nomination for driver of the day. We are still a bit early for that. We've still got 9 laps of the race left, so we'll kind of get down the day in the next few laps who you think was worthy of that title. I honestly can't make up my mind right now, so I'll probably wait a few laps to see how things unfold and then probably gauge an estimate there and then go with it.
I reckon Crispy's got P5 in it. And just looking at this train, is that we go down the back straight. Freeman's going to be looking on, but again, it'll probably be similar to last time. That yeah, Freeman won't be able to do anything. As Crispy's pretty much got the move done, under braking going around the. They're going to go side by side, just coming out as Darnell gets the back out a little bit, and that'll see him concede the position. As will Freeman perhaps get a better run and maybe have to think about perhaps a little P6 on the cards for the American. Around the outside he'll go.
Having a look.
Side by side. Oh, he's going to squeeze him out a little bit there is Darnell. He's going to keep it going. Amazing there from Darnell. Sorry, from Darnell and Freeman, it must be said. But they continue to go around. They're still side by side. Is there going to be any bite in these two drivers? As up the inside, Darnell will be able to keep it around the late breaker. Who's going to be the latest to breakers? It's still side by side. They're going to go. They've been since the start of this lap. They're going to go side by side into turn 7 now. Has it been succeeded? No, it hasn't. They still continue to go side by side. What a battle. This has turned out to be. Freeman's going to now succeed the position in turn, what I believe is turn 9. Turn 10 is perhaps Darnell going to send it up the inside. No, he's not. He's going to leave it. This battling is definitely helping out Crispy. That's one thing for sure. And Bezos will be licking his lips behind him. Could this be Darnell perhaps send out the inside? I think he's a bit too far away for that, but he will have a little bit of VRS, not much left, but he will have DRS for that as well. What a battle between those two, though. It was absolutely tremendous.
It's definitely up there for one of the battles. I think that might be the battle of the race so far. That was just mesmerising to watch. All the way from the start of the lap, Freeman was going to run outside of turn 1, and it literally went on to turn 9, and you couldn't put a cigarette paper between the two of them at any point. Like, they were just that close together. It was fun, it was fair, it was brilliant to watch, and it was just mesmerising. Honestly, I can't even, for lack of a better word, I think mesmerising is a perfect word to sum it up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolute outstanding moment of driving through both of them, to give each other the same amount of respect and just general awareness as well. Just really shows that SLR Elite is where the skilled drive and where the best compete against the best in SLR. It really is the highlight. It really is something to see something like that. It was literally, it was 2/3 of the lap.
Yeah, it's really speechless. It really is. Yeah, you gotta look just kind of looking at a little bit of a track map. Yeah, you can say it pretty much is. Well, it's definitely over half of the lap. They're almost at the end of sector 2 by the time that those have stopped being side by side. Well, it was absolutely great driving, and Freeman's got it done. But you gotta look to Freeman's teammate now, who's very close to Ham. It wasn't probably not the greatest exit out of the final corner, but I just kind of riding on board with Zydrad, as I noticed they were very close coming into it. In fact, he might go for it.
He's went for it. That's late. That's brave. Sorry, Owen. I was just watching the exact same battle as you there, and Zydrad just had the ERS on. It didn't look like he was going to make any real movement. He won. I thought he was just going to settle for sitting in behind, and then he just darted out the slipstream, went up the inside, took to the grass as well, and just out of nowhere, nearly took him out as well. That so easily could have been wrong. That so easily could have just
that could have been him out of probably out of the podium. To be honest, if it had gone any slightly bit wrong, that could have been him out of the podium, maybe even out of the points. It was something like that is very, very risky, and it comes with big falls if you do get it wrong. But fortunately enough, he might have not got it how he wanted it, but it wasn't the worst outcome that he could have had. Must be said.
Exactly. We've seen incidents get into there before. We've seen it in Division 1 with ARL Predators in Ranga. We've seen it in Division me, honestly, I watched it literally last night and I can't remember who it was. It was a Mercedes, I think it was Paul. Paul got clipped getting into turn 1 as well. He was going side by side with somebody and Paul got clipped, and he immediately just got thrown into a 180 and went out wide at turn 1, so it's really easy to get it wrong if you're a bit too ambitious. Zydrad was actually, in my mind, in my general opinion, he was fortunate not to take Hamjam out there. Like, that so easily could have been a race ruiner for one of them, and if it was that bad, it would have been both.
Yeah, you got to give it to both of them. They both know what they're doing. They're both top drivers, and clearly, well, you can see by the way that Zydrad had to kind of mount the curb as he went up the inside. He made sure that he gave Ham the space, and well, as we said, that's what we like to see when we're having drivers race.
Exactly, they want to see the best fighting the best here, and I've just jumped on board to B-Dunk because they were switching places there, and B-Dunk was literally kind of putting his front left in front of Ryan's rear right there to try and help him along there, but didn't really help too much there, and it's so nearly, as soon as I jumped on, I thought they were going to have a collision there, but fortunately both of them still racing at a high speed and facing the right direction. But B-Dunk's on the mediums. After starting last, he's going up the inside, he's going late on the brakes into turn 9, we'll have the inside to turn 10, Ryan Hodds around the outside, keeps it still, Ryan Jones fighting vigorously for this 9th place, but B-Dunk is going to go up the inside into 11, he's going to leave it late, Ryan's turned in, and that was a late move,
up the inside,
B-Dunk, and he's going to go up the inside into turn 13, the long right hand on side by side racing once again, onto the big straight here. Ryan Jones has got his ERS deployed here, using his ERS to get that extra straight line speed, but he's got the DRS back alongside, comes the Racing Point into the hairpin. Why can I not get a good camera angle of this battle? But anyway, it's the Racing Point up into 9th. It was a couple of audacious moves with B-Dunk, but eventually makes it stick, and Ryan Jones will have to settle for P10, and he's going to have Midzi right behind as well, so he's going to have to hold back the Alfa Romeo if he's want to try and score points. I think Midzi might as well just kind of be sitting there saying, it's lap 24, 4 laps left, got to go to the end, might as well. He's got a 4.8 second gap to smoke, he's right in front, he's right behind Ryan, he could still get a point. He really could still get a point despite the bad luck that he's had this race.
Yeah, definitely. He's not far off either, so yeah, well, we were seeing him there and thereabouts, but I think B-Dunk has just come through on these fresh mediums, and he's kind of just making his way slowly through the pack again, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the two Racing Points battle each other in not too far time. And in fact, I think Ham's pulled a little bit out on Zydrad, so I think that battle might just be, well, I wouldn't say over, but it will still perhaps be over for at least maybe the next lap. Maybe Zydrad's just saving up some ERS for a battle later on. As a fact, just looking at the difference in the ERS, Ham's on was on 3%, whilst Zydrad was in about the 20s. So a lot of the guys will be running low ERS. As I've noticed, is very much an ERS eater, this track. Yeah, I've noticed that from my experience. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how those two do the last 4 tours of the lap.
Definitely, I think you're right in saying Zydrad is probably just going to try and save up some ERS, try and keep his tyres in a good window to try and make a move late in the race. There's still 3 laps left on lap 25 or 28, and it is still Hamjam leading the race with Zydrad, but we're on board B-Dunk, who's going to try and make a move on Bezos for P8, and B-Dunk on the mediums is going to try and cut his way through the field like a hot knife through butter, trying to hold it around the outside of turn 3 onto 4, going to go side by side, and he's just going to go and beat Bezos into P8, and it's a Racing Point 7-8, so strong result for the Racing Point boys so far.
B-Dunk has really done well.
B-Dunk's really had to kind of tap into his tank and find that extra pace, and his racecraft this race has just been exceptional. Qualifying honestly wasn't something to write home about, it was really no something to sit and talk about for ages. He was last, he had to go an alternate strategy, he had to be different, he had to throw something to the wall and hope something stuck, and it truthfully has. He had a really good start, he was up 8 places by the end of lap 3, he had made massive gains, either at the expense of folk I think his teammates just going to let him go here. Darnell's not going to put up too much of a fight, and that's extremely sensible of them. And so I don't pick up a penalty there, but we'll not try and dig too deep into penalties right now. That's not the day here. But also, sorry, you know, and B-Donk's not really had the race, no had the qualifying to write home about, but I think if he can keep his car in a points paying position, like P7, maybe even try and chase Freeman down for 6. If Freeman and Crispy can get a big battle going and lose time, B-Donk can creep in, arguably take them both, and end up 5th. That would definitely be something you want to stick on your fridge.
Yeah, as must be said, we have in fact not got too much left of the race, as I'm just kind of looking around. Our leaders are what's that? We've got one sector left of lap 26, and then two more full laps, 27 and then 28. So that means I can't think my math's not working. 7 more sectors to go. So let's get some votes in for driver of the day. Why not?
I think
we don't have long left.
I think
who's going to be it? We've got many contenders. We've had some really great races from a lot of the guys. Who's it going to be? Pop a suggestion into the chat for us.
I think I'm probably gonna play the generic choice, and I say this with respect, don't say it with disrespect or anything, but it'd probably be B-Dunk for the race that he's had despite the qualifying. If Midzi can maybe get a point, it could be him, but I would genuinely give it to Merckx on the condition that he can get a podium. I'd
definitely agree with that. Yeah,
I'd give it to Merckx.
We definitely can. He's definitely in a good position to do so. As I thought Freeman just got very close to the back of Crispy there. I was watching. In fact, I think he's going to send it into turn 3. No, he's not. I thought he might have just been sending it into the very awkward first sector, but no, it wasn't. So they will continue to battle with not long left of the race, as will our 2 leaders. So hopefully, we might be able to see a little bit of some interesting battle going on towards the end of the...
I was on board the helicam there for Merckx, and in the background I just saw Crispy and Freeman coming through turn 6, and Freeman just got a bit of a slide on the exit. So Freeman really just showing he's keen to get past the Alpha Tauri, knowing he needs to get past. You can see that Freeman, you could just see it through the helicam, and I know exactly what kind of moment it was. It was yellow flags in
smoke storm.
The second sector, and it's smoke.
Very similar to
Dylan
Dylan's
crashing there earlier.
Seems. I will just look as I go on board. I'm kind of looking towards where that was. Couldn't see it. I think it had already cleared by the time Jam had gone through it. So, yeah, I don't know what that was in the end. But anyway, we go on to the final lap, and Ham is in the lead, followed by Zydrad very closely indeed. In fact, we've got a bit of a 2x2x2 scenario going on, and we had that, I believe it's in Brazil last season. It was very consistent that we had a 2x2x2, and it was very Noah's Ark-like.
It's one for the OCD people once again. If you like seeing things just in nice wee neat bundles, then this has been the race for you. It's been the tyres. The tyres at the start, it was 5x5x5, until GSR and Snipes had really ruined that pattern. I mean, I'm not trying to shine a bad light on them, but I mean, that was a strategy. We've got some driver of the day nominations there as well. CMCK says Ghost Crow sitting in the podium. If he can keep the podium, it'd be a strong shout. Is it driver of the day? Personally, not my opinion, but he has done really well to run as high as that, as we see the Alfa Romeo, and I think that's Midzi.
That is, yeah. It's Midzi you can't.
That's Midzi as well. And I thought we were going to see a big climax at the end here. Something's been wrong with Zydrad. Zydrad's dropped off by 1.7 seconds. He's no in DRS. He's got a bigger gap to Ham Jam than it's ever been all race.
Well, I think it's given who's going to win this race then. Unless we have any big shocks. Has Midzi run out of fuel? No, he's just decided to have a little bit of a trip through the gravel.
I have absolutely no idea, but the extreme launch from the Renault from P5, launches him to the checkered flag first as Hamjam does take the win there. Zydrad and Ghost Colt rounded out the podium. Max just narrowly missing out there on P4. Chris
Oh, he's got a puncher.
settle for 5th and
Mitzi's got a
6th.
puncher.
And B-Dunk is 7th. Ryan Jones, Darnell and Bez has rounded out the points, and we'll just jump to Midzy quickly. Where's his name? And he's got a puncture, and it's the rear left, the rear left just sitting on the wall.
Oh!
And he took a bit of his wing off there.
How come he didn't lose the wheel there when I did in qualifying? That's disgusting. Anyway, yeah, well, there we go. The race is over then. Ham's the man who got the victory over Zydrad and Ghost Colt. They're going to be our top 3. So a great race all round there. And yeah, let's get to some of these driver of the day votes in. As you say, we've had one for Ghost Colt, we've had one for B-Dunk. So at the minute, not too much really. I did talk about Midzy's tyres actually. I did say, could we have the chance of Midzy going to the end? I didn't think he'd be able to, and that's clearly what's happened. And I don't know whether I don't think that's cost him a point, but nonetheless, I'll get the top 3 in, and you can run us through.
He's just lit up the rears on the line there for good measure there. I genuinely thought when he run wide at turn 14, I thought he was going to throw it into.
Yeah, I guess we should probably make a quick
donuts.
Decision on driver of the day.
It's B-Dunk that does get driver of the day in game. Whether he gets it in the chat, that's another question. He has got a vote in the form of Dingle Dolphin, his Racing Point teammate for Division 3. He's voting for B-Dunk. Dingle Dolphin asked for what rigs are using. I have absolutely no idea what rigs are using, mate. I generally do not know. But what I do know is, it is the podium celebrations. We're going to try and get the podium drivers in. And it is Hamjam that does take the top step after starting 5th. That launch off the start was honestly quite something, if I'm being honest. And it was enough to launch him to the top step. Zydrad and Ghost Colt are joining them either side in 2nd and 3rd. Max, after starting outside the top 10, ends up 4th and just narrowly missing out in P4. Crispy in 5th place was doing a stellar job to keep Freeman at bay in P6. B-Dunk, after a poor qualifying, ends up getting 7th place and a few points under his belt for him and the team. Ryan Jones up into 8th for the Alpha Tauri. Bezos and Darnell rounded out the top 10. You've got Paraquix in P11. Beast Assassin gone from P9 to P12. Jamham started 13th, stays 13th. Hasn't really been the race for him to write about either. Snipes in 14th. Sa, GSR Axe, who disconnected. Motion has up Midzy, just didn't really have the race, and you've seen there that the hard tyres just gave up at the end. And Smoke and Dylan were your 2 retirements from this race at the exact same turn of turn 7. But it was good to know that the hard tyres reached their limit at lap 25.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Sorry, go.
No, that was me.
Oh. Yeah, well, that is it. So, yeah, well, great racing from everyone. And I do believe we've got our 3 podium sitters in the party.
Nice. Are they all
Do
here?
you want to kick us off with some interviews, or what do you fancy?
On off. You want it? Oh, I mean, the only question I want to really ask is, what was that start? What was that launch like, Ham? I seen that launch. What was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a really good start this time. Get a good start anyway, because I had Crispy alongside me who got disqualified from the formation lap. So I knew I'd have the advantage in tyres compared to them. And yeah, it just seemed as though everyone else kind of maybe got a bit of wheel spin or something. I think it was pretty much a perfect start as far as it goes. And then, well, I would say never look back from them, but obviously Zydrad put a lot of pressure on me and Ghost in the first stint. So it wasn't perhaps as easy as it may have seemed.
Oh no, it definitely looked like you just managed to hook it up and it literally just launched you to first. There was a big battle for the lead early on, and then it just slowly dwindled down once the others caught up in traffic. Zydrad was able to time his strategy as well, and it looked to be a battle to the end. between yourselves, but I don't know what happened in the end. Well, as Sydrad, what happened in the end anyway. But was it like knowing that you were always constantly under that pressure?
Yeah, it was difficult. I like to, pride myself on not making too many mistakes. Not trying to sound big-headed or anything, but I think typically I'm pretty consistent, and I knew I had decent race pace. But yeah, Zaja definitely put the pressure on, and I wouldn't have envied anyone to be in that position, to be honest. I didn't even realise he had a penalty. I literally checked on like the penultimate lap going down the back straight. So it was really 20 odd laps of just trying to drive as consistently and as quickly as possible, really, for me.
And coming into this race weekend, how did this result generally weigh up against your expectations coming into the race and coming into qualifying, coming into the race?
Yeah, it's not one of my better tracks, which sounds weird, obviously, but no, it's typically not one of my best tracks, really. I think I felt if I'd got a podium, it would have been a good race, around that sort of fifth, fourth, third kind of mark. But obviously, this was a bit of a bonus. But I think it's sort of deserved considering I had the chance to win the last 2 weeks. I think it was coming, so it's nice to get a win this early on.
Definitely, and we can. Well, I mean, also, you're going to hope that you can carry this momentum going forward. We've got the Netherlands next week, which is a new track for everybody, so it'll be interesting to see how you carry that forward. So, just want to pass my congratulations to your result, and look forward to that next week.
Yeah, cheers, mate, and well done to Zyder and Ghost as well.
All right. Well, yeah, congratulations to you, Han. And so we'll move on to P2, which was Zydrad. Had a great race out there today, mate. How do you feel it went on? Of course, you were a bit close. You were close pretty much the whole way through to Han, but how do you feel it went overall?
Well, I came into the weekend expecting maybe top six. Top six would have been a good race weekend for me. China's not one of my strongest, but not one of my worst, so it's kind of a bang average track for me. Got that provisional pole early on in Q3, and I thought, okay, maybe I was not as slow as I thought. Obviously, got beat to pole eventually. And then straight off the start, Ham had an absolute lightning start. Don't know what happened there. It was unbelievable. Got P1. It was P1 by turn 3, I think. And then chaos went up in front of me. Midsi dropped back, and Freeman had wing damage, I think. And I was just staying behind Ham the entire race, basically. Tried the overcut, almost worked, but yeah, I'm happy with P2, definitely.
Yeah, well, yeah, congratulations on P2. It must be said, I don't know if you'd noticed, but I do believe both the top two in the championship didn't score points today. So, what's your thoughts towards that? Are you thinking about the championship this season, or, well, of course, a bit too early to call anything just yet, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, that is controversial, but I might be having a little look at this title, but it depends. It depends on the consistency of the Jam Brothers and Midzi and stuff, of course, as well as my teammate, because my teammate's quite fast. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, well, congratulations anyway, and I do hope that you do challenge for the title, of course, being one of the Huskers. So,
of course, up the house.
Well, yeah, congratulations. It was a very solid track. How are you feeling about Zandvoort next week? Are you confident, or of course, brand new track, as Riggsy was saying? What are you thinking about? Yeah, what are you thinking about it?
Well, new track, of course, and it's not really a pad-friendly track, if I say so myself. So it's quite draining, I'd say. Might be wrong, but hopefully get another good result. Points at least, I reckon, is good enough for me. I'm relatively quick around Zandvoort, but yeah, we'll just see how it goes next week.
Oh, congratulations on P2. Great race.
Thanks.
And yeah, Riggs, do you fancy doing P3?
Goes cool. Strong result once again, but another trip to the podium. You were with this front six for the first stint, ended up getting the podium, had to fend off Merckx. Just want to really talk us through what happened throughout your race.
Well, it was not easy at all at the end, but in the whole second stint, I was just pushing it all the way, really. Managed to get there in the end. Just And the first stint was not easy. I had to really manage the tyres. So yeah.
So, was there any so we've seen you were one of the earlier drivers to pit, and was that just down to general? You were saying just down to tyre management, the tyres were a bit of an issue for you early on. Is that why we kind of saw you diving in early? Because we saw this big battle for the front six, and then it just suddenly dwindled down. We've seen you pitted. You didn't pit under the VSC, did you?
No,
No. Someday. No, you stayed out, and then you pitted no long after that anyway. And then, because we saw people pitting early under the VSC, we saw people just pitting a couple of laps after that, and then we just saw people stretching the stint out. Was there any real issues with your pit stop, or just general traffic? Because you were with this battle at the front for such a while at the start, and then you were you were still there or thereabouts, but you weren't as close as you once were. Was it just down to timing of your strategy, your pit stop, the tyre wear? What was kind of getting to you there?
Well, I was on probably 4-ish lap older tyres than the guys around me, so I had about 15% more wear. So yeah, it was pretty down to wear and just general pace, really, I think.
And what was it like with what was it like having to defend for Merckx for the last laps there? Because the battle for the podium was literally so close. We were watching the battle for the lead, and then it was the battle for third, and then it was the battle for fifth. There was just two battles close together, and we were sitting watching Merckx and you, and the times just weren't change, and he was getting close, but wasn't too close. He was always there, just breathing down your neck. What was it like just having that pressure at the end?
It wasn't easy. It was not easy at all.
And
I didn't think at the pace really, but managed to put it off.
And going into next week, we've said this we've asked this to Ham, we've asked it to Zydrad. What is your general feeling that we're going to a brand new circuit in the form of Zandvoort? What's your general opinion on it? Is it a track that you think might suit yourself, or is it one that you're not really being too confident in practice and race stints and such?
I do enjoy it. I do think it's a good track, yeah. It's just nice and flowing.
It definitely does have that nice flow to it. Definitely does. And I don't think I've really got anything much else to ask other than say my congratulations, and well done to the podium sitters. Just want to shout out B-Dunk as well after starting at the back. Ended up getting the chat and the game's driver of the day as well, so congratulations to him. And I'll probably just pass it over to Owen, but just be sure to join us for the next stream. I don't think we're having a social stream tomorrow, so we're not going to be back until Wednesday, which is for the side pod. So if you're new, be sure to tune in for that. Before we go to Zandvoort, a brand new circuit, the first time gone there since 1985, so that's going to be new for all the drivers, because it's been such a while since we've been there driving. So I very much look forward to seeing if it really shakes up the order. Owen?
Yeah, no, it's very looking forward. We've had a great weekend, I think it's fair to say, all around in China. And yeah, looking forward to next week, seeing how some guys do, see what can happen. We've so far from what we've seen, we don't really know if it's a very pro wheel-to-wheel track. We'll see as much racing perhaps as we've seen today. But yeah, I'm sure we're going to have a great weekend out, as we do every week. As we've just seen, we've got so much entertainment in this league throughout all 4 divisions. And yeah, I'm just so excited to see what it's going to be like with a brand new track. Of course, it was a bit all over the place last week in Hanoi. So, it could be similar this week. We'll have to wait next week I should say, we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have some good racing.
Definitely, and I don't think I've got much else to add. We very much look forward to having you along with us once again for next week, where it is a brand new circuit and it's a brand new challenge as well, so I hope you tune in for that, and we hope to see you there. So I'll just round it off there, and we'll catch you in the next stream.